looks like we have 75 of our amazing ambassadors on this morning. So it looks like from far and wide as well, from all parts of the country. And I saw some international folks there. So hope you guys all had a chance to talk. It's great that you can connect a little bit amongst yourselves as we were getting all of the final preparations here. So welcome this morning. I have some of my amazing team members here who will be participating and sharing. I guess I just wanted to start by saying, wow, it's been now over almost 2.5 years since we've launched Aptera. It has not slowed down. It has been quite a whirlwind. It has been very exciting. Even recently, we have been continuing to press ahead, continuing to make progress, and we have lots of exciting things to update everyone about today. So I just wanted to kind of start by recognizing many of you. Not only have you been a part of our journey since we relaunched, but you have been fans and followed us, for many of you, for over decades. And I think that's really special, and I really appreciate it. And it's a big part of why we're able to be successful with such a small team moving ahead. So I just wanted to thank everyone and share a little bit of my gratitude and my excitement and enthusiasm for the role that everyone plays on this journey. So we're going to kick it off here, and Chris is going to help me share my screen, and it looks like we're successful.
Hi.
Hi. There we go. So we're going to start off today. Let me just run through the agenda. Chris.
Down
Oh,
you got it.
Okay, thanks.
There we go.
We are going to run through our agenda today. We are going to start off, thanks to everyone who took the survey that we sent out. You may have got a SurveyMonkey link, and we really wanted to gather as much feedback as possible from our ambassador group and really help our team to understand where to go moving forward with the program and what you love about it. A lot of great suggestions for improvement. So we're going to be sharing some of those insights and key takeaways first and foremost. We're also going to just give you an update on the program itself, and I'll introduce you to some of our team who will be your primary points of contact moving forward. We're also going to sync up on our committees. So some of you may be a member of a committee, or you may have participated or heard of committees in the past. So we're going to regroup on those and give you an update and kind of sync up with the work that we're doing on our committees. And then we're going to have the one and only Chris Anthony join us. He's going to give you an Aptera company update. We do have, as you know, I love to give you guys, as a thank you, some exclusive stuff that no one has seen. So of course, we do have some of that for you today. Chris Anthony is going to be sharing with you. And then we're going to open it up to Q&A. I think that's I have found the Q&A section is really one of the most valuable parts of these ambassador sessions. And we really want to give you guys a chance to ask a lot of the questions that you really wouldn't normally otherwise have access to talk to Chris and to speak to Chris about. So we're definitely going to give you a chance to do that kind of one-on-one. So before we do that, I just kind of wanted to ground us in one of our most important principles here at Aptera, and that is nature. So I wanted to start with one of my favorite quotes from Albert Einstein: "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." And nature is a really big and important part of our mission at Aptera. Nature inspires the shape of Aptera and our principles of efficiency. It's very important for us. For myself personally, it's a big part of why I do the work that I do here at Aptera, that connection with nature. Some of you might know my dad was a forest ranger for 40 years. And so for me, having that connection and being able to pass that along to my son, Elliot, who is 9, is a really important thing. So just wanted to kind of ground us in that. I envision the Aptera community as a forest filled with trees. And I envision the ambassador program and all of our ambassadors as the trees with those strong roots. They're supporting us. We're constantly adapting. As you know, the past year has not been exactly, as we had planned. We definitely hoped we were going to be, closer into production, but you guys have really supported us. You've given us strength. You have helped to kind of adapt and thrive. And because of you, we have continue to thrive. And we're looking up towards the sun with the help of, your group and nourishing us. And I know that probably sounds a little bit cheesy, but I truly believe that. So I just wanted to kind of recognize that and acknowledge that we're all interconnected, we're all working together, and we're all part of something bigger than us. And that for me is kind of this principle of nature. So wanted to start off with that. Obviously, the goal of our ambassador program is to get every one of your vehicles as soon as possible, as well as get Aptera into production as soon as possible and help us through this next phase of our growth. We're a startup and we're continually evolving and changing, and things are changing and moving very quickly. And so the goal of the program is to help us to really accelerate that progress and accelerate our path into success and into the future, into doing what others would think is impossible. So that is really the goal of our program. Just wanted to remind you guys as well, after the accelerators and after the Paradigm Edition holders, ambassadors will get your vehicles first. That is our plan. That is our commitment to you guys. So we hope that there will also be other fun things, such as having you guys help us host test rides and hosting Aptera events in your communities and all those great things as we get a little bit further ahead. But we are doing this for everyone and to get Aptera to production, but we're also doing it for you guys. And we want to make sure that you're behind the wheel of your Aptera as soon as possible. So first and foremost, we'll start off with our agenda here. We'll kind of go through some of the key insights and some of the key takeaways that we found as part of our survey. And the first one of those is just communication channels. And we were feeling that things were a little bit fragmented. We have lots of different communication channels, and some of you are really great and always active on Facebook, and some of you really don't look at anything but email, which is totally okay. But we've been really working to try to understand and identify what the most efficient method of communication is for our ambassadors. So we absolutely want to communicate to you more often, and that is something that we are dedicating that we will do. We are going to be holding these webinars for you as a group on a quarterly basis, rain or shine, updates or no. We want to make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful and to support Aptera. So we will be committing to do those on a quarterly basis. We will also be committing to increase the amount of email communication that we have with you. Email updates, will hopefully be providing some of those out from specific committees as well. And then we'll also begin using Discord. Now, that may be something that is familiar or maybe is unfamiliar to many of you, but Discord is a great tool that we can use that will actually, I think, give you guys access to one another more easily, as well as give you guys access to some of the other resources and assets that we want to be able to provide you. So instead of having the random Google Drive, link, as well as the Dropbox, as well as the, kind of forum assets that you have, we want to try to consolidate everything into one place. We want to make it very easy and efficient for you to use. So we'll have Chris McCammon give you guys a little overview of what to expect, and then we'll be doing lots of training sessions on that moving forward. So we can hopefully get everyone a little bit more streamlined as far as ambassador communication goes. So we'll be using Discord. And then I think another thing that really came through in the survey is just this idea of word of mouth. And not only are you helping so much in, social media posts and helping in, sharing all these information and assets, but yeah, that face-to-face contact, that personal approach, telling your friends, talking to people about Aptera, re-inspiring them, or even inspiring them for the first time with our mission and what we're trying to accomplish here. That's something that we have heard from you in this survey that you guys just need more of. You need more resources, you need scripts and talking points, and you need marketing materials, and you want more business cards. So all of those things we're definitely going to be creating for you and working together with you on, so that we can help to empower not only just online sharing and online resources, but things that you guys are doing in person at events, getting out there in your community. So that's something that we will be doing up ahead. And then I think the last thing we kind of recognize for many of you, there's a variety of different ways that you want to interact with Aptera and engage with us. So on average, our ambassadors can dedicate typically about 14 hours a month or about 3 hours per week. So we really want to make the most of that time. We're so thankful for your efforts. And so we really want to maximize that. So even if you can only spend, an hour a week or an hour a month, we do value that time and we do value those contributions. And we want to give you more tangible ways to feel like you're actually helping to support Aptera and our journey. So we recognize that just because you don't feel like you have a ton of time to commit or to contribute, we still could really use the help and we could really still use your support. So we'll be giving you ways and tactics to be able to work with us at Aptera beyond, big and small. So that's something that will be coming as well. All righty. Oops. There we go. Oh, did I skip one? Okay. All right. So I'm going to start now. And as we have notified you guys, I think hopefully most anyone knows, Will Reynolds, who is amazing, who has been a really great champion for us. He is no longer going to be heading up the ambassador program for Aptera. And we're actually going to try to integrate it a little bit more completely into our marketing team operations. And you guys know, as I said before, we're lean and mean right now. We don't have a huge team and we are really doing a lot of different things. And so we're actually going to be kind of splitting up the responsibilities amongst the ambassador program among our team, our current marketing team that we have here. So I wanted to just start. I don't know how much you guys have had a chance to interact with my team. I could not do this without them. They believe in what we do. They spend long hours and weekends and answer everyone's questions and really keep the momentum going, keep spirits high. They have just been a fantastic addition to our company. And I can honestly remember back in the day when it was just me answering everyone's emails and going through hundreds of emails every day, just trying to, get back to everyone. And so for us, for me and for our team, it's just a phenomenal resource and a phenomenal infusion of creativity and excitement and energy that is brought by our team. So I wanted to give you guys a chance to meet them and have a chance to just say hi to some of the key individuals who are going to be playing a role here, who you'll interact with. We want to make them accessible to you so that you can ask or call upon them as needed. If you need a design resource, we'll introduce you to our designer. And I want to give you guys a chance to put some faces with some of the names. So first we have the lovely Audra Leslie, and I'll just let Audra give a little bit of her background, maybe just tell you guys a little bit why she loves Aptera, what brought her here, and then she can tell you a little bit more about her role here at Aptera and how she'll be working with you directly to support the ambassador program.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I joined. Thank you, Sarah. It's been amazing to be a part of the marketing team and just this company as a whole. I joined Aptera because I believe that, it's that first video you see Aptera has launched. It speaks to me in so many ways that transportation is not efficient and we're not using energy responsibly. I'm a runner and I hate the smell of gasoline and see what it's doing to our oceans and to the environments. And I want to make sure that the world like my niece grows up in and my and just the future that we're bringing about is one that we actually take ownership of. And so at Aptera, I get to do that every day, which is amazing. And I will be taking kind of the lead on the ambassador inbox inquiries. So you might see some responses coming through yesterday and today. And over moving forward, I'll be there. Not everything will get a quick response, but I'm going to do my best to answer those urgent matters and I appreciate it when you guys tell us about anything going on, like websites down or there's these trolls all over Twitter. We need backup support. We love hearing that and knowing what's happening. So keep us in the loop. And we're looking forward to creating more of a streamlined process of receiving updates from you all so that we can get you the answers you need to tell the story with the answers from the Truth Hub, where new things come up every day, and you all know things are developing really quickly here, but we're going to do our best to get you information as quickly as possible. And I'll also be looking to onboard some new ambassadors. While we do have about 700 to 800, not everyone's that active but you all here, we have like OGs and newbies, and you're the core to this. Not everyone can be here today, but you are all like the core to the program. And so we're going to bring on those that are also just as committed and willing to move the movement forward. So thank you.
Great. Awesome. Thanks.
And Quincy.
I know
Amazing.
many of you have worked and seen Quincy on videos and producing our content in the past. So
yeah. So hi, everyone. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Aptera's marketing and communications manager. I am really excited to kind of take on this new role with the ambassador program, which is the committee liaison. So I'm really excited and grateful that we have over 700 ambassadors with feet on the ground and in the industry that are, you guys are all supplying us information and recommendations, and you have great ideas. And I really want to be able to make sure that all of those insights that we're getting from you guys are actually integrated into our marketing strategy. So what I'm hoping to do with the committee leads, the committee chairs, and anyone who is a part of our ambassador committees, I'm really hoping to integrate all of those insights, recommendations into our marketing strategy so that we can reach all of our goals, obviously getting into production, increasing reservations, improving Aptera's brand image. So I'll go into more depth later in this call, but I'm really looking forward to kind of taking on that new role.
thanks.
That'd be great. And
Usually he's behind the camera.
Yeah. Hi. Oh, we're all gonna.
Nice catch.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. You've seen me. I'm the content manager at Aptera. Been doing a lot of, our social media posts and, been active on the Aptera Owners Club Discord and, trying to help now set up our new ambassador Discord. And I'll go more in depth on what that means later, but basically I'll be, providing you all with like the latest assets, the latest video shoots and images, so you can integrate those into everything you do. And yeah, I'm very grateful for each and every one of you. It's been a great over a year now working at Aptera, and it's like super exciting. We started in the yard, the OGs might remember the yard, and just seeing Aptera expand, and now we're in this massive facility, and I get to see the progress on the floor every day. It's very inspiring and exciting. So there's things that we can't always share right away, and hopefully with the ambassador program there's some more updates I can provide for all of you that are things that not necessarily everyone can know right away. There's certain things that are behind NDAs, or there's things we're can't share right away that are very exciting. So you'll see some of those later in this call. Yeah.
Great. Cool. And then a couple more people that aren't right here in the room this minute. Jake Weibel, he is our full-time designer here at Aptera. Do you want to go see if he, okay.
Yeah.
Chris is going to go see if he can come say hi for a second. And he's going to be helping. A lot of the requests that we've been getting are for things like merchandise. I need a new kind of flyer, or I need something that's this size, or I'm going to go to an event and I need a banner. So all of those requests and all of those materials will be produced by Jake. He's gonna come have a seat. Jake's gonna come say hi really fast. So you know who you're gonna be working with, but presentations, you name it. Meet Jake Weibel. He's our designer here at Aptera. Did you want to just say hi to everyone? Maybe just tell a little bit about what you do here at Aptera and kind of what you love about the company.
Yeah, my name is Jake Weibel. I'm graphic designing, lead digital designing. So anything like the merchandise designs or VR, AR, anything three-dimensional, all the rendered videos of the factory, things like that. That's all me. So any type of digital assets or any ideas that you guys have, I'm willing to listen and consider, and we can get some cool new content and merch out.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping to get some more ambassador merch for you guys. So we just kind of need some feedback on what you're looking for, what would be exciting to you, what you would want to wear or share or give away, gift to friends and family. So let us know. Jake is really great at coming up with new designs and coming up with cool new stuff. So we want to make sure we can give you guys continual ambassador branded merchandise going forward. So awesome.
Thanks,
Okay.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks,
All
Jake.
right, nice to meet you
And
guys.
then Jonathan, do we have Jonathan on here
Yeah.
right now?
I am here.
Okay, where are you? I'm gonna try to, can we, yeah, can you spotlight? We're gonna spotlight you, and maybe you can just do a quick intro.
Am I on?
You're not quite yet.
You won't see it. I don't.
Just
Oh, I
one
won't see it.
second. Okay, we are pinned now, so.
Live from Washington, I'm Jonathan Posey. I am overseeing kind of the state government relations and advocacy efforts. So when you send an email about laws, or if you have a regulation question, it usually comes to me. Also some of the advocacy stuff, I'm the one that keeps emailing you sometimes to say, hey, email so-and-so for me. So we've got some exciting things coming up on the advocacy front that I will need your help with. And yeah, that's me, Jonathan Posey. So I'm the guy over here in Washington.
Great.
Back to you,
Thank
Sarah.
you. Well, we've had a lot of exciting news. I think you're going to give an update a little bit later, right, Jonathan, about
Yes.
some of the progress that we've made.
Yep.
There's
And
nothing
some
more-
cool ideas.
And some cool ideas. Okay, cool. There's nothing more exciting to me when we actually start making progress. It feels like sometimes on the government relations side, it's a big mission and there's a lot of moving pieces, and it's a huge effort to actually make meaningful change. And so I get very excited when, with the help of our ambassador program and with Jonathan, we've actually been able to move things forward and make changes to laws that will impact Aptera owners. So I'm very excited to share that with you guys a little bit later on today. So thanks, Jonathan. Okay, and then I just want to touch on what the format is. As I mentioned, we are absolutely going to be holding more of these exclusive ambassador meetings to make sure everyone has the information that you need. We want to keep them as exclusive. We want to make sure that you guys are getting stuff, as Chris said, that no one else is getting. You're working hard. You are so invested in our company and in Aptera, and we want to, make it means, give you something back as a thank you. And so we do want you guys to be kind of like the keepers of information that not everyone necessarily will always be privy to or have access to. So that comes with a little bit of a caveat. We can't share that information out. So we'll share this presentation today with all of our ambassadors, but we're not going to be sharing it out with the general public. So for that one person who keeps posting it again and again on YouTube and we keep taking it down, please give us a break. We got so much to do here. We don't need to keep chasing you down to take down a video. Let's keep everything confidential. Let's make this program the best it can be. Let's all work together to make Aptera great and to make our community great and move it forward. So yeah, please keep everything confidential that is heard and said on this call. And we really appreciate that. And that's for everyone, because we want you guys to feel special, and we want you to, feel like you're a real part of this and a meaningful way, not just a surface level. We'll also be giving you government relations updates. We'll be checking in with the committees, which Quincy's going to talk about right after this. We're going to try to have maybe some special guests, not just the usual suspects, Chris or Steve, although it's wonderful to have them when they can be here with us. But beyond that, some of the engineers and some of the talented team that we have, some of the, people, Chris is actually standing outside my office right now. Come on in. Some of the people who are actually doing the work and are actually, playing key roles in teams like solar or battery. We want you to be able to hear from them and to, ask them questions and really get to know like what their daily life is like and what the projects that they're working on and what's challenging, and, just give you some insight into the real, challenges and the real joys of working at Aptera. So we'll be bringing that type of content to you guys on a quarterly basis. We're up for ideas. If you're like dying to hear from someone in some position or some team, let us know. We'll do our best to get them, but that will be something that will be coming up as part of these quarterly meetings. So let us know what else you guys want to see. Let us know what else you want to hear. What would make these meetings valuable, worth your time? What would get you excited? What would keep you engaged? Give us ideas, and we would love to be able to make some of those happen for you guys up ahead.
Cool.
Awesome.
All
Okay.
I blocked out the images I had up there.
Because we're going to save them for when
Save
Chris
them
does
for
his
later.
update.
So the new Ambassador Hub Discord. Some of you have used Discord. I've seen some of you on the Aptera Owners Club Discord as an example, and I've used Discord for many years. And what's great about it is, one, it's free, so like it's free for everybody. No one has to pay anything. We don't have to pay anything, which is really exciting. And then the other thing is, it's just creates really awesome streamlined communication. So I'm going to send an email with details on how to do it. I'll make a video on step by step, so everyone can learn how to get in, but it should be really straightforward. So once you join the Discord, it asks you what committees you're interested in. Here you can select different committees, and that'll automatically give you access to those specific parts of the Discord. Basically, it's just a big chat room with a bunch of different areas where you can talk with people. And the great thing is it's real time. So if you need something urgently, you can ping me or ping Sarah or Quincy, and we're on it. And we can kind of have a more open dialogue on these channels, is what they're called. So it's just going to be cool. Like we're gonna get a new image at a photo shoot. I'm going to upload it to Discord and say like, hey all, here's Gamma at this place, and you can all get pings on your phone or set up email notifications for these things. The Discord will automatically ping you if you select it to when we tweet or make a YouTube video, so immediately you'll be alerted. And also the great thing on our end is we can send pings to everybody as well. So like if we have a video we want to release a few days early to you guys, we can really easily do that through a platform like Discord. So I'm really excited about the prospects of that. We have a lot of rough cut videos that aren't done or close to done that we could share a few days early and things like that. So it'll be kind of nice to get everybody's feedback on those videos and how we can improve things like that. So if you look on the left side, it's kind of hard to see depending on the screen size, but this is kind of an example of what the Discord is going to look like. So there's a resources section where you'd have imagery, how to 3D print an Aptera, business cards, things like that, and they'll all have their own little resources area and be updated all the time. And then as you see under that, there's like an advocacy section, events section, and communication section. Those are the three different committees we have. So depending on what you select, you will see those populated on the left side, and you can join them, follow the updates, provide ideas, and you can directly interact with people like Jonathan on this platform, which is going to be super exciting. And the other thing that this offers to us is meeting rooms. So if you're in your committee, you see your committee has 50 people in it, you can schedule an event, say, hey, all, let's hop on voice chat and really discuss the current objectives of the week or the month. You can all hop into the meeting room right on Discord and all chat with each other. So it's literally all in one place. Really excited to get that up and running. And in the next few weeks, I'll be sending more information on it. So yeah, it's going to be great.
So is anything going away, or any channels going away? Is there anything else people need to be aware of?
Yeah, so we're going to be trying to streamline everything to Discord. That doesn't mean we're not going to have the Facebook group, because I know people like talking on there, and you can still, send us emails and things like that. But I think if we can make this the hub for everything, for all communications, even with our team internally, it's going to streamline everything. And yeah, Bright Idea is going away. It was a good thing that we tried, and we got a lot of good insights from Bright Idea. And I think this is kind of the next evolution of Bright Idea, where it's real time feedback with the team. Kind of everything we imagined Bright Idea to be originally is now going to be integrated into this amazing Discord. So just
Great.
Super excited about it. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Awesome. And there'll be training sessions. I'll be in there too.
Yeah, I'll trade Sarah too. We'll learn
right
how to
along
do it.
with you guys.
Very good.
And girls. Okay, great. So we'll go through this kind of quickly, because we have Chris. He's ready to give a company update and answer questions. He's actually early, which is amazing. So thank you. He's ready to talk to you guys. So we'll kind of breeze through these committees. I think there's not a ton of, new things to share. So
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'll make this quick, but I just wanted to, like I said earlier, make sure that we're refocusing our attention on the ambassador committees. For those of you who don't know, we have 3 committees: communications, events, government relations. As Chris said, as you guys are signing up for the Discord, if you are not already attached to one of the committees, you are more than welcome to assign your interest to one of the 3, all of the 3, none of the 3, whatever you guys may choose. The goal of all of these committees really is to increase brand awareness for Aptera, but then there are specific kind of initiatives beneath each of them. So for communications, we really want your guys' help with improving Aptera's image and perception, creating positivity online, giving us recommendations on kind of the content and information that we're sharing to our community for events. We also want to make sure that we're growing Aptera's audience and building a strong physical presence in the industry. All of you guys have, a wide variety of interests and expertise. Some of you guys are engineers, some of you guys are, environmentalists, and we want to make sure that you guys are an extension of our team. Like Sarah said, we're small but mighty, and we need your guys' help more than ever. So along with the government relations program, we'll be advocating for future Aptera owners, and you guys will be helping to support grassroots lobbying efforts. But so I will be coming on these quarterly meetings to really make sure that you guys are educated about what our initiatives are for the quarter in each of these 3 committees. I'll be working really closely with the committee chairs to kind of get the information that we need from you guys so that we can inform our marketing strategy and do our jobs the best that we possibly can. So real quickly, I'll run through kind of the main committee updates and goals for this quarter. So for the events committee, we haven't officially announced anything too in-depth just yet, but we are going to be doing a solar summer. Summer is our favorite time of year. Yesterday was the first day of summer, and it's definitely starting to feel like summer here in San Diego. Finally, the sun was playing a little hard to get for us over the past couple months, but it's really exciting. We want to be leveraging our Gamma and Alpha vehicles to get out into the community, attend events, show future Aptera owners what it's like to be in Aptera, drive in Aptera, and then also increase awareness of our next generation of customers. So that expands beyond our early adopters. You guys are our early adopters. You've been rooting for Aptera since we relaunched or since day one, and that's awesome. But we also need to get in front of a younger, more eco-conscious audience to ensure the success of the company. So we'll be attending these events and picking locations specifically to target that kind of customer, as well as a more high-profile audience so that we can continue to fundraise. The tactics for the solar summer include local activations on a weekly basis here in Southern California. Obviously, we want to get out as far and wide as we possibly can, but we've got to start small. We've got to start where we are. We want to make Aptera well known here in California. And as we get closer to production, we'll be expanding these efforts. But at these pop-ups, we'll be doing giveaways for test rides. We'll also be doing and announcing pillar events that may include, I'm saying may because we haven't not locked down all of these just yet, but just to get you guys a sense of like the kinds of events we're going to or hoping to be at this summer. We'll be at Comic-Con, hopefully, Outside Lands, Tesla Owner Clubs events, US Open of Surfing. So not just the classic and traditional car shows. We want to be out wherever these kinds of next generation customers and high profile audiences will also be. Ray Holland is our committee chair for the events committee. So Ray, look out for an email from me. We'll be working closely. I'll be asking for a bi-weekly report from all of you guys, where you guys can give me and the team your recommended industry and lifestyle events, speakership opportunities we should be aware of, ideas for pop-ups in our local community. You guys can tell me what kind of events you've been representing Aptera at, and then just general ideas for fundraising opportunities or like-minded brands that we might be able to partner with for our events for the solar summer.
Whew.
Whew.
It's gonna be fun. Let's get going.
And then for the communications committee, our core messaging, this time I really want to give you guys kind of the messaging and content that we'll be focusing on for the next 3 months. So definitely promoting the solar summer. We'll be giving you guys media assets, photos, videos, messaging that you guys can use on your guys' social media channels and as comments on our social media channels to promote the solar summer. We'll also be launching a text message communication method. So in addition to our newsletter, which you guys are all subscribed to, we'll also be using text messages to get the word out about Aptera, and we really want to encourage signups for that newsletter subscriber list. So that'll be something I'll be asking for your guys' help with. We also are paused for our Regulation A campaign currently. It's a temporary pause. You guys probably already know this, but I want you guys to help us educate the community that our Reg D offering is open, and we can continue to fundraise with accredited investors through the Reg D and continue to fill out those 695 accelerator spots. You guys have also probably been seeing a lot of commotion around the North American charging standard becoming the industry charging standard. We really want your guys' help to push this forward and continuing to tell the story of Aptera being the change agent for this really amazing advancement in the industry. I've also linked a comment FAQ and misconception stock here, which we'll send out. These are just things that we've been seeing online that you guys might need more information on to help educate the community. Again, Bruce and Len are committee chairs. Look out for an email from me. We'll be working to create a template for the bi-weekly reports where I'm hoping that you guys can provide social media trends that you're seeing that we should capitalize on, content suggestions, common, frequently asked questions, misconception that we're missing the mark on. I want to get a overall community sentiment from you guys, like what you're seeing, what are people concerned about, how excited are they, what content's working, what's not working, industry news, any reporters or influencers, celebrities that you guys think that we should be working with. So be sure to keep an eye out for that up ahead. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Jonathan for a quick government relations update.
Yes. All right. Hello. So yes, thank you very much for all of your help in connecting with policymakers and helping us kind of get our foot in the door. I can say that we have changed the laws now so that you will no longer need, excuse me, you will no longer need a helmet to ride or drive Aptera anywhere in America, but we still need to update Arizona, Oklahoma, and Wyoming for those under 18s, but that should be accomplished by next year. I'm also working on some incentives that are unique to Aptera and our customers, in addition to the general incentives like purchasing and tax credits and not paying taxes. I want to let you know also that we've submitted our loan package for the Advanced Technology Vehicles Manufacturing Loan Program. That's out of the Department of Energy. And they've expressed that they're a little sensitive to congressional pressure and we don't want to annoy them. So we're kind of holding off on asking for calls and letters from your representatives to them. We just want to let them review our application over the next few months, and hopefully we should hear something back by the end of the summer. And kind of talking about that influencing, and as Quincy was saying, and trying to influencing younger people and getting to different folks, we have this interesting idea to take some of our 3D models and ask you to help us kind of flood the world with those. Since we can't get Aptera, the vehicle, everywhere at once, what we're going to do is ask you to help us print an official Aptera 3D model and then put that with a letter and send it to people like investors, celebrities, friends, anyone that you think might be interested in getting involved in helping Aptera move things forward. So look out for those emails from me, and I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, I'm excited. You guys have been asking for 3D files to print Aptera on your own for a really, really long time. So now that we have our launch edition finalized, and we're, very, very, very close to knowing the exact vehicle that we'll be producing, we can get those out to you. So that's going to be great. Perfect. Okay. Without any further ado, we're going to have one Chris leave and another Chris come.
Hola.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to just start with giving everyone a little update, saying hi? I really
Yeah,
like your shirt. You look great. So like that color, you're looking good.
Better than my green shirt, which I've gotten harassed about,
We're upgrading, as we said.
green, brown, it's all good, but we're so humbled to have such a great community and such an amazing group of ambassadors that are here for us and giving us great feedback and out in the world telling people about solar mobility. I think we've made a lot of great progress over the last 6 months, and it's a busy time around Aptera. Steve and I are all over the world. We're working with suppliers. We're really putting the accelerator program to use to try to push us closer and closer to production. It's been great to see 1,304 investors.
Yeah,
How many?
1303. There might be one more
1303.
since you. That's
Investors
okay.
in the accelerator program. It's exceeded, our expectations. We're just so glad that so many people could contribute at that high level and earn some of these first delivery spots. I think that'll be super, super valuable. So if you know people are talking to people that are trying to either get on that list or work their way up that list, once we get to kind of 500 of those orders left, I think it'll really start to heat up. And, our ambition is that once we get Gamma back here, which it's on a plane, it should be in the port of LA now. So it's very close to home. We just have to get it through customs and delivered to us. And then we can start planning our big events around Southern California here to start engaging for that accelerator program. Really what we're doing with that money is we're pushing our long lead items closer to production. So the big steel molds that they need in Italy to make our body parts, some of the manufacturing equipment to move the assembly line here in San Diego, some of the solar and battery equipment we've cut checks for recently, some with the help of the California Energy Commission as well. So it's great to see so much movement in so many different areas that really have to culminate here over the next 6 months to get a production Aptera ready. But it's really on the back of you guys telling the story and inspiring people to invest in their crowdfunding, and especially inspiring people to invest in the accelerator program, which has really pushed us to great advances. Because we've been so successful with the accelerator program and our crowdfunding, the largest crowdfunding in history. You are backing the most popular thing out there. It's very exciting to be in that position and to have worked so hard over the last couple of years to really make the offering something that people have been drawn to. But we basically have a cap of 75 million a year that we can raise with this program, but it's a rolling 75 million. So as we get close to that rolling 75 million, we basically have to stop taking investments as soon as we hit that cap. We're only a few million away from that cap now. So what we didn't want to have happen is for us to get Gamma back here, people get excited about the first things we do with Gamma, and then instantly hit that cap and then have to shut that down and then file with the SEC to raise that cap again. Basically, because it's a rolling 75 million, we can tell the SEC that, hey, over the last 12 months, we've only closed 40 million, so we can open up another 30 million. And that's what we did that once before, and now we're having to do that again to raise the cap. We're basically adding that 12-month rolling 75 million, and we're adding another 38 million to the round, so we can raise that with the crowdfunding. So hopefully what will happen is we'll get Gamma back here. The SEC will approve us to reopen this round again with that new $38 million of available offering, and we'll be able to raise more money as we close out this accelerator program. Hopefully, as we get through the last 500, a lot of those spots will go for hopefully a pretty penny, and that money will go directly to some of the very fancy tools and equipment that you'll see on the floor here and stuff that we'll be giving you updates regularly about. But we think the process will probably take a month, maybe a little more. But in the meantime, we have a Regulation D offering open, which means it's not open to the general public. It's open to accredited investors. So people who have, a lot of money in the bank or make more than 300 grand a year, they can be called accredited investors. It takes a little more paperwork because you have to kind of prove you're accredited. So you have to show like a bank statement that, hey, I have more than $1 million in the bank, or this is my income statement, and hey, I make more than 300 grand a year. And then you're an accredited investor and you can invest in this round. We have gotten a reasonable amount of those accredited investors over the last few days, but we aren't really pushing that. It's just something that's available because we don't want to miss out on people that want in on the accelerator program over the next month while the regular crowdfunding is down. But hopefully we'll have that back up soon, and anybody with $200 and a spirit to support solar mobility can jump in the game with us. We have been working with our great partners in Alafe. I had an early morning call with them this morning. I'm not a morning person, so it takes me a couple Celsiuses to really get going throughout the day. But we had because they're in Slovenia, we had a great call with them, and we're talking about the future and ramping up production and things that they have to do in Slovenia to make that happen. It's been an amazing partnership with those guys. They're all great guys, they're great engineers. They have a super compelling technology. And we're also not only developing co-developing the motor with them, we're also developing our own inverter. So those two things have to run parallel together, and we have some safety control systems in the vehicle that have to run in parallel. But things are really heating up and finalizing this motor design, and really we'll have a production design in just a couple months that'll be going through validation, and that will pair nicely with our ramp to production. So it's exciting to see real movement on that production motor. I think we had fully charged. We had a demo of the body of that motor, but now it's the windings are complete, and how they encase the motor inside, and how we actually attach electrically to the motor, and our new knuckle design, which Carl's been doing great work on. But it's exciting to see all the pieces of that really come together. We just put a pin in the wheel pant design that attaches all this stuff, and it's looking super pretty. And Jason and Jamie and the design team in Italy has been doing a great job on putting a pin and all that. But it's the powertrain of the future. It's more efficient. It only has one moving part. We've been doing a lot of big investor conversations, and people are always intrigued by regular electric vehicles have a motor, a transaxle, a U-joint, a drive shaft, another U-joint, and all those parts that are rubbing together in that system create loss. So what if you could just get rid of all those losses from all those gears and things that are rubbing against each other? Well, that's what we've done. The only wearable component in our drivetrain is the axle bearing about which it rides. That's a 1,000,000 miles service life type device. When's the last time have you heard of an axle bearing going out on something? It just doesn't happen with modern bearings. So 1,000,000 mile service life on the axle bearing means a 1,000,000 mile service life on the motor, which means hopefully with better regenerative braking, because the motor's bigger. 1,000,000 mile service brake, 1,000,000 mile service motor. The only thing you should have to replace in your Aptera for the first 1,000,000 miles is the tires and the windshield washer fluid. So it's an exciting thing to think about, actually pushing this into production. We were also able to take Gamma to the esteemed and glorious Pininfarina Wind Tunnel in Turin, Italy. It's an amazing establishment. Roberto Morelli actually designed this wind tunnel. He was also the inspiration for our cambered body design. He's the guy who figured out many decades ago that hey, if you put a hump in the back of a ground effect vehicle, you can actually speed up the air to the rear of the vehicle and basically suck out the high pressure zone in front of the vehicle. And that's what makes our vehicle so slippery. And decades after he did that work, we were able to put computational fluid dynamics to work and use great programs like generative AI to feed the computer problems and have artificial intelligence actually work through that problem and show us how to make the Aptera a better shape overall. I don't know if you remember the aerodynamic comparisons, but we made the nose sharper. We changed the angle on the rear wheel pant. We stretched the tail 4 inches, and we made a lot of interesting changes to the wheel pants, the wheel covers on the front wheels to make it more aerodynamic. But we grew the overall body size of the Aptera 1% to allow more passenger room and more battery packaging room. We actually decreased the overall drag significantly, and going to the Pininfarina Wind Tunnel was really a way for us to see the results of that in real life. We've done a lot of computational fluid dynamics. We have reports and graphs and stuff coming out our ears from that. But this is great to put some actual smoke on the vehicle and see the pressure graphs on how the vehicle is actually reacting in a real wind tunnel. And it helps inform our later investigations into our Delta design, which is coming together nicely. So, hopefully in the coming months, we'll be building that Delta design and we'll take it right back to this wind tunnel. And we'll be able to use the jigs and everything that we use to set this vehicle up. It's a very unique vehicle for the Pininfarina Wind Tunnel. They've tested everything under the sun, from jet aircrafts to Formula One cars to passenger vans and the like. But this is the first 3-wheeler that they've tested. So to put something in this that has 3 wheels versus 4 wheels that everything else has was quite unique for them. And, just the setup of that and getting everything working took quite a bit of time. So we're ready to test the Delta version, and we're excited to continue our work with these guys. It's a really beautiful wind tunnel too. The pictures and the video that you will see from this are just amazing. I mean, it's
These are
really
the first time
futuristic.
they've seen these. These are the first time we've shared these images with
Oh,
the
well, this is,
ambassador group. So you can.
I've seen them for a week or so now, so I've already fallen in love with them. But this is just really compelling stuff. I mean, how futuristic does the Aptera look in this amazing wind tunnel? Even though this wind tunnel was designed, 70 years ago, but this really just reeks of the future. Super streamlined body, the most aerodynamic vehicle to ever hit the road, and we're able to do the testing in one of the most preeminent real world aerodynamics labs, and it was really cool to see it there. I saw these pictures the first time and it's like, this looks like CGI. Like this isn't real. It is absolutely real. The team worked really hard to get it there and make this happen, and it was great to do the testing. But these beautiful pictures are absolutely the Aptera Gamma vehicle, and when we get the Delta in there, it'll be even prettier because you'll know that that's the vehicle that you're going to receive when we start delivering vehicles next year. So it's just beautiful. Look at it. Look at that blue silhouette.
So those were what Chris had populated in the new Discord for ambassadors, all of those images earlier. And I said, no, I want Chris to tell you guys all about them. So those are waiting for you in the new Discord as soon as Chris McCammon gets that all set up. And that's an example of the kind of thing that we want to share with you on a regular basis before anyone else has the opportunity to see it, just so you can marvel like we are and just feel proud of how far we've come. It's really exciting. And I think just to clarify, so our goal for the wind tunnel really was to find correlation. We're not going to be releasing a drag coefficient until we actually go through the process of having Delta there in the wind tunnel. So we have been getting quite a few questions. So if you guys can help us to spread the word and educate our community on that, that would be great.
Yeah, it really was to set up the simulation. It wasn't really to get a final drag number or data number, but it gave us great feedback on how we set up our computational models in the computer, and we learned a lot about the actual setup and how to do the Delta vehicle once we have it there.
Great. Okay, I think that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to share with our group of over 100 ambassadors who are so dedicated and excited to hear more?
Yeah, it's an interesting time for Aptera. We had a lot of visual progress last year because we're going through the design iterations with the from beta to gamma, and really working towards a production design. So we had a lot of things that we were able to put on the floor. The last 6 months we've been investing in what's going to happen next year, which is production, right? So we haven't seen as many little updates and things for you guys to see. So I imagine a lot of people and a lot of feedback we've heard is what's going on, it seems a lot slower. Well, it's because we're investing in all these long lead items that we really don't get to see until we're much closer to production. But Steve just got back from Italy, and it's amazing the progress that they've made on the tooling, and we'll have over the next 3 months we'll have some really cool updates for you on how we're making those parts with CPC and putting the vehicle together, and really start building out parts and visual progress on our path to production. But it has been a bit of a slow period or lull period on visual progress, but trust me, we are working our asses off over here every day, and the engineers they're working their asses off, and there's lots of stuff getting done, but it's long lead items and it's really stuff behind the scenes that we can't show you as readily, but we're trying. We think there's stuff over the next 3 months that will really inspire, and having Gamma back here and being able to get some more public feedback and third-party validation will be great too. So it'll be an exciting summer for us, and we'll cruise into to the next fully charged and Comic-Con. So if any of you guys are down for Comic-Con this year, you're going to be Wonder Woman, I'm going to be Superman, and we'll all dress up as our favorite cartoon characters and enjoy the show. But we'll have Aptera there, and then fully charged is in October. So we're going to play out the summer and close out this accelerator program strong, and then get ready for some really cool shows later in the year, and have updates for you guys all along the way. So thank you so much for everybody's support and everything you do for Aptera. But if we want to open it up for questions and
Do
take
we
some
have,
questions now.
do we have people raising their hands here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have,
So if you guys go to reactions on the bottom of your Zoom bar and then click raise your hand, you guys will be able to notify us that you have a question. It looks like Roy Dudley has been the first to raise his hand, so let's go ahead and
See.
call on
Oh, got
him
it. Perfect.
for our
Thank
first.
you, Quincy. It was wonderful meeting you, Sarah and Chris, this last January at the
Oh, yeah.
It was great.
Association. Soy el gringo jalapeño, a sus órdenes. I've been
Oh.
here for 51 years, Chris, and this is something I want to return to Jalapa, to Mexico, is they have the Aptera here as soon as possible. Yesterday, I went to see a company that assembles Chinese motorcycles here in Jalapa. And hopefully tomorrow I'll be in touch with a son of a gringo's. His name is Robert Richards. He's in charge of the sales. So I can give you some more concrete possibilities of having an assembly point here in Jalapa in a service center. The potential of the Aptera here in Mexico is absolutely incredible. I'm a member of the Rotary Fellowship. Rotary means Business Mexico, and the response has been extremely positive. I want to volunteer, Sarah, to be on the government, but because Mexico is wow. I mean, it's incredible. The United States is difficult. It's very difficult here. However, the response has been extremely positive, and hopefully we can help do some forward work, because Aptera is going to be gangbusters here in Mexico, especially if we get the price right. Okay, so hopefully we'll be in touch very, very soon. I'll let you know what I'm coming up with. Y que viva Aptera.
Thanks. Perfect.
Awesome, Roy, gracias.
Awesome. All
Thank
right.
you. Adios.
Mexico and Australia, I mean, I think they're perfect countries for Aptera. They're wide open countries. They have lots of space and lots of sun. You know, we have to brush up on our Spanish, but I think some great opportunities down there.
Perfect. All right. Next question, please. Rich.
Yeah, hey there. Good to see everybody. I was just curious if you could say some more about torque vector steering. In particular, could it save money during the assembly phase? Thank you.
That's a solid, good question. Thanks, Rich. I don't know about how it would help in assembly, except that, you know, kind of the automated burn-in or initial test of the vehicle is a lot easier when you have infinite control of the wheel. So our wheels are much like servo motors on like a CNC machine, or you see these 3D printers that are super accurate. We control the wheel motors, you know, in a very similar fashion. So you know where the wheel motor is at any time. So when we do kind of our initial test before you honk the horn and drive the Aptera out of the factory and deliver it to one of our ambassadors or customers along the way, you know, you're able to basically push a button and it'll self-diagnose everything in the vehicle. It'll go through all the infotainment stuff. It'll go through the drive package. It'll, you know, test the charge plug. It'll do all those things automatically. And I imagine that, you know, because we have infinite control over the wheels, that doing that test will be easier and more reliable, and we can make it more automated versus a transaxle setup or something like that. We probably have to literally drive it around to do that test. But from a torque vectoring perspective, you have infinite control over the wheels, and you know exactly where it is at any given time within a thousandth of a second. So if the wheel slips and you need to do something dynamically for stability control, you know it's slipping. So, you know, in a traditional vehicle, electronic stability control is usually done through the braking system. So you have to hydraulically actuate a brake, and it has to clamp to slow down the wheel. That takes time. An electronic system, you know right away when the wheel is slipping, and you can make a decision with a computer in milliseconds to make that change and slow down that other wheel. So if you start to slip on snow or ice, it's a much faster reacting system, and it's much easier to calibrate. And it's a much more precise control than just actuating a hydraulic brake. So we have high hopes for our torque vectoring, our tank turns, our, you know, crab steering, our ability to do cruise control on the freeway and not have to turn the wheel to keep in your lane. You just speed up one wheel on one side or slow down one wheel, and that's actually how the vehicle stays in the lane for lane tracking. There's a lot of really cool things that we're going to be able to do with our torque vector system, and it's all enabled by the in-wheel motor that we're developing with the LAFE. And some really cool things on the way, but we really have just started the tuning process on that. Maybe a month ago or so, really starting with the LAFE. We just finished our motor inverter design up in LA, 2 months ago or so. So I had to finish the motor design, and now we're working on the control systems for that. And we'll start to tune, the systems for our 3-wheel platform. LAFE's done that for a lot of 4-wheel platforms already in Slovenia. So they have a lot of knowledge on how to do it, but not specifically in our 3-wheel application. So that'll be fun to see you guys over the next 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, those algorithms will be different. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Great
Thanks, Rich.
answer. Who's next? Oh, Bob. Hi, Bob. Oh,
Unmute.
there you
Can
go.
you hear me?
Yeah. How are you?
Oh, Bob's
to
doing
see
a video
you.
like Rich, where we get to walk around and you talk about Aptera. It's great.
So I am at the San Diego County Fair.
Nice.
I'm actually doing the merch table for a musician friend.
Oh,
But
very
I've been
cool.
checking it out. Toyota and Chevy own this place. Can we get the Alphas let loose as even static display models at a place like this?
Yeah, that's definitely something we're looking into. And as a matter of fact, we're planning a drive-by pop-up, kind of more of a grassroots type of activation at the fair next Friday. So cruise by, we'll give you guys more details. We don't know exactly what we're doing, but we're big fans of guerrilla marketing over here at Aptera. So
I'll be here if you need
showing
me.
up and seeing what happens. So you might see us cruising around next Friday at the fair.
Excellent, thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, Curtis.
Curtis. Oh, which one's Curtis?
Oh, right there. Yep. Uh-huh.
Hey, Curtis,
You're on mute.
you're still on mute though. We may need to go to.
There we go.
Oh,
Sorry.
there we go.
There we go.
Hello, Chris and Sarah and my fellow ambassadors. Just a quick question with regard to the lobbying efforts. Is there any plan to start lobbying in Canada, where obviously we have similar incentive discrepancies with the US versus other EVs, helmet law issues out east, and motorcycle license, as far as I understand it, is actually required in Alberta, which is just blatantly ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, we one of our board members, Doug Liu, is up in Canada, and we've just kind of started relations there. It seems like they want to see a vehicle, so we need to take a vehicle up to show the legislators up there, and then start to get positive momentum. But it's in our long-term plan, and we do have some connections up there. But if any ambassadors on the call have connections in Canada, we would love for you to start spreading the word and start talking to more people up there.
If you want to join that committee, I'm sure we'd love to have you. That would be
Absolutely.
good to have
Yeah.
a Canadian representation on the government affairs committee.
Yep.
Great. Thanks, Curtis. All right, Stephen.
Hey, Chris. Quick question. So any progress on a mobile app for Aptera?
Yes, actually, Jason just started that process probably a month ago. And we just contracted a new designer for that has some great modern EV, I guess you'd call it, experience
Nice.
with big names that you've heard of. So I think we basically storyboarded that over the last month or so, and we've got some great visuals up on the board. But I don't think we'll see anything tangible on that for a couple months. But we do want to put it out to the world as quick as possible. And we started talking about some AR, VR stuff that we could add to that app, so you could physically place the Aptera in your garage or drive it around like a toy car, take pictures of it next to other vehicles, that sort of stuff. But that's all part of the app and things that we can do before you actually have your Aptera, to get to know the app and to give us feedback. And that's in the works, but we'll definitely hopefully be able to show you, Stephen, personally, that progress over time.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you. And again, congratulations on all your success, and congratulations on being an early adopter of the North American standard, and now everybody scoffed at it, and now everybody's
I
following it. So
know. Yeah.
you guys are always like visionaries, man. I love it. So congratulations and all that.
Aw. We were actually pretty super duper excited about it.
Early
to be
adopters,
honest.
we basically bullied Ford and GM into this. They were hesitant and we led the charge, and 40,000 of our friends signed a petition.
Sure, everyone on this
and,
call probably did.
Everyone on this call hopefully signed that petition, and Tesla took notice, and it took them 60 days after that to write up the NAC standard and put it out to the world. And it took another 3 months after that for Ford and GM to say, why are we using this stupid CCS stuff? Why are we, dealing with these headaches? Why are we hindering EV adoption by not having good charge stations out there? So we're happy to see that superchargers will be accessible to all over time. And we hope that the government pours money into Tesla supercharging technology. The cool thing about them opening up the NAC standard is it's not just for the vehicles, it's also for the charging stations. So Blink charging and EVgo and all the other charging stations out there, now they can adapt this much more elegant plug standard and build out charging infrastructure for that. So, Tesla will have their own superchargers and they'll make money on that, but it also opens it up to the rest of the world. I mean, Rivian's going to be building their own charging infrastructure with the NACS plug. So you'll be able to access that, hopefully, if they build them in, a wilderness network that's by national parks and stuff, Aptera will be able to access those NACS capable superchargers around. So I think it's great for the EV world as a whole. And I'm glad we made the decision now, because remember that, less than 1% of the cars in the world are EVs right now. Now's the time to make these big, substantial infrastructure decisions, because when 50% of the vehicles out there are EVs, it's too late. It's too hard to make those decisions. So it's great to lead that charge, and thanks everybody for supporting that. And we've gotten a lot of good press because our name's been associated with that too. So as more people pick it up, they kind of always mention Aptera. So we've definitely seen some interest as of late because of that.
That's great. How much time do you have?
As much time as we need.
Awesome. Okay, like another
We
15.
have an 11:30 interview.
Quincy's like, actually, we only have 10 minutes. Okay.
10 minutes.
We have Chris booked on a media interview at 11:30. So we will have another 10 minutes if you're 10, 15 minutes. Okay, perfect. We still have a couple of questions. We'd love to get through as many as we can. Thank you for.
I'll try to not answer.
You've been giving very robust and complete answers. So good job. Okay, who's up next?
Adam, sir.
You are on mute.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
I'm hoping that can you all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm hoping to see you next month, actually. I'm planning a visit out to California from Florida. Who's my best contact to
Great.
coordinate?
That's the ambassador email box, ambassador@aptera.us, and Audra will respond back and we will book you in. We're trying as much as we possibly can to make time for every one of you who wants to come and see us. You guys have earned it, and it's just an amazing experience to be here. So if you are traveling and you will be in the area, send an email to the ambassador email and we'll accommodate as many of you as we possibly can if we're our team's in the office and our vehicles are here. So let us
I
know.
already did that. I'm just trying to figure out when the vehicle's going to be there. I want to do a proxial fit check. Make
It should be in a week. We are also planning an overall ambassador day, though it's tentative now. We don't have a date for it yet, but we want to invite everyone on this call and beyond that's an ambassador to come in and get a special tour and see Gamma and get a full factory experience sometime over the summer.
Well, I'll be out west from July 24th to August 8th, so I can come over to San Diego anytime during that time period. Delivery issues. I live in Florida. You guys are in San Diego. I want to be one of the first people to get the car. I'm going to drive out, buy it out there, and luckily Florida is one of the states that allows me to just go and do that, and I'll be able to get it registered. But when I get it back, what do I tell people about how they can get their car? Because everybody's going to want one. As soon as they see mine, they're going to say, how do I get it? What's the answer?
Well, the good and the bad in that is that by the time you receive your first car, we'll probably have 100,000 pre-orders. So they will want one, and they will hop in the reservation queue. And if they pick the right variant of the vehicle, hopefully they could take delivery, a little earlier. But it will be a game of patience once we start to deliver vehicles, because I guarantee it, once we have validation vehicles driving around and we get more third-party validation and we're able to take celebrities out in the production Aptera, pre-orders are going to go through the roof. So
Well,
when you
but
see your
will they have to
vehicle, you
drive
know,
out? Will they have
Sir?
to drive out, or will they have to fly out and get it?
no. By the time they get their vehicle, we'll be delivering nationwide.
Okay.
You know, but if you have one of the first 5,000, you're probably going to have to make it to California to get that vehicle. After that,
Already got the trip planned.
Yep.
Okay, insurance process. The only thing that I've run into as a problem is if I come out and picked up my car right now, they want a VIN number and a insurance profile before they'll even tell me what it's going to cost me to insure, or even if they will insure it.
We will give you when you get a reservation slot, we will give you a VIN number to be able to acquire insurance or whatever. In the beginning, because we don't have a history with the NADA, you may have to insure the Aptera as stated value. So if you buy the vehicle for $35,700, then you're going to have to tell the insurance company this vehicle is worth $35,700. That's what I want insurance for. You know, and they'll insure it for that stated amount. I have my boat company built a 3-wheeler back in the day. I have it insured through Progressive Insurance. It's also a motorcycle that has stated value. I stated the value is $35,000. The insurance for that's about $900 a year. I think. So it is significantly cheaper than automobile insurance to have motorcycle insurance. But because we're not in the NADA and they can't just look it up like a Harley motorcycle, they're going to ask you to probably state the value. But I would say within 6 months to a year, we'll have enough history with the NADA so that insurance is pretty easy. And hopefully we're able to offer insurance directly. So when you purchase the vehicle, you just click a button on your app and it gets you an insurance package with the vehicle. So that's our long-term aspiration.
Perfect. One other question, I'll let everybody else go. Any updates on the 3-wheel tax update? Because I might be able to help with that with lobbying.
Yeah, that's probably a great question to get a progress report from Jonathan, who spoke earlier. So he can, I know efforts are continuing, you know, to be underway for that. I think it's he can kind of give you an update on exactly what they're working on and what, you know, how you can best help. So definitely
I've got some lobbying experience and some contacts in Florida and in Washington. So if he needs help, let me know.
That would be great. We would definitely appreciate that. Cool.
Thank you.
Great. Next question, John.
Yeah, real quick, right to repair. When might that story get fleshed out? And what can ambassadors do to help with having local, you know, a place locally to go when one of us crashes this or whatever? It will break and it will crash.
You know, we're working on those right to repair metrics now. We just started putting the pieces of the puzzles together for an owner's manual. It really starts with how we disseminate the information on the right to repair. You know, how do you actually show somebody how to replace a ball joint or a window actuator or something like that. So we're still putting the pieces of the puzzle together on how it will work structurally, but we're, you know, obviously committed to the program. And long term, you know, hopefully we'll have an environment where people can share feedback. So you break a window regulator breaks on the Aptera. You click on a link to go figure out how to fix it. There's like a forum post underneath it. You can say this instruction worked well, except watch out for this screw is really hard to get out, or this clip needs to come out first, or whatever like that. So we're trying to create a you know, a long-term system that can have like a database of information so that it's not just us telling you, but, you know, people are obviously able to feed back into that system. And that will also include things like, you know, I'm in South Florida and I have a repair shop that's 30 miles from me. They know the Aptera. They worked on 3 of them. If you have a problem, you can go to this guy type thing. So I don't think that system will be ready, you know, probably until we're actually delivering vehicles, because the first vehicles, you know, will be delivered close and we'll know exactly who has them. So I would say we're 6 months away from really having that whole thing.
Okay, 6 months. One other small question. In September and October, I'm going to be in Europe driving around. Can we visit the Modena factory? The
I urge you to Modena and have some good wine and cured meats. But CPC is a very closed type operation because
Sure.
they build cars from Maserati and McLaren and Lamborghini, and so people have come there and knocked on their door and said, I want to see Aptera stuff. They're not equipped for visitors or anything like that. Unfortunately, it would be great to have some Aptera ambassadors in Modena and enjoy some good wine and take a selfie by CPC just to post it on social media, but they're not set up for tours. Hopefully, once we're in production, we can organize something there where we come to Italy and we're able to have ambassadors and fans visit, so we can do a tour and show them this is the Aptera production, this is Aptera parts, this is how it's built, and all that. But that's a ways off too.
Okay, what about Alafi?
Alafe, I don't know. The Alafe is probably not really set up for that either.
Sure.
They're not a big company. They're 50 people or so. So, they're
Okay.
a little hard to approach as well. But Slovenia is a great place to visit. So if you have time to get to Slovenia, they have great wine and pizza. I would go there too.
Okay, let's
Great value.
maybe just a couple more minutes here. Let's see if we can get through a couple of more.
I don't
Be
think
fast,
we're
guys.
gonna make it to everybody, but
I know, I'm sorry, I don't think we are, but we'll get through as many as we can. So if you guys can keep your questions short, then that will help with that.
All right.
Hey, Brian.
So many questions, so little time.
I know.
I guess the first one is, I signed up a long time ago for this vehicle, and it's been constantly pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. Right now, it's showing my estimated delivery date 2024. Will that go back any further, or are we pretty solid on that number?
if you know,
Oh, and one other thing, I'm in Canada.
okay. Canada does make for some difficulties in early delivery because you'd have to make it to California to get the vehicle and take it out.
I would do that.
But as of now, we have a slated start date for the middle of 2024, and we seem to have all the pieces of the puzzle together, from the Department of Energy to the CEC grant to some equipment financing to some small investment in the accelerator program. If all those things come together, we're able to make that production timing. But if it takes us longer to close some private investment, then that date may stretch. I haven't heard any talk that really thinks that is going to stretch into 2025, because if we're able to get this DOE loan, then we'll be in production in 2024. All the timing seems to line up for that. So if things don't go well for that, then that will be a different conversation. But we also have some big investment conversations going on. Not just small $5 to $20 million investors, but also some sovereign investors that are, $100 million plus, and those conversations are going well. And that's why Steve has been over to the Middle East and such to work on those things. So, the next few months could be really surprising on our financial future, and all that will do is help accelerate our path to production.
Yeah, we've said.
I know you guys don't think about this down in California, but have you looked in regards to your wheel wells and snow?
Yes, absolutely. The vehicle will be designed for snow and ice, and the inclement weather in Slovenia and other parts of Italy and the Netherlands, where we have a lot of orders, is something that we're definitely designing for.
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to Orlando. Thank you so much, David. Nice,
Chris, I'm
nice
so
background, Orlando.
Oh, you like the background?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the
It's going to be a musical question. Just kidding. Orlando's a songwriter. For those of you who don't know, he's written many Aptera songs. Go ahead.
Anyway, I have a couple questions and a suggestion. Okay. Can you give us an update on the crash testing timeline? Are they going to be when will they be tested in Modena? Is that what's it called? And then
Modena, yeah.
It would be at CBC, because that's what it sounded like when you introduced the leader over there with Jason. And second question is, how will the Aptera arrive at Carlsbad for assembly? I mean, is it going to be the body with the wheels already there and the frame, or that's what I'm kind of like not put in my mind, how it will arrive for assembly from Europe?
Yeah, we hope that the vehicle will arrive as a complete body structure with closures and seals and glass, and then we will add that body to a chassis that we may not, get from Europe. We may get it from someplace else. And then we marry the body to the chassis, put the battery pack in, put the interior in, put the solar panels on, run the diagnostic check, honk the horn, and you drive it out the door. That's
The wheels, the motors, the in-wheel motors arrive with the in-wheel motors too?
We will install that on the chassis. So the chassis will come separate, then we'll install the in-wheel motors onto the chassis here.
And the crash testing timeline?
Yeah, we think that the crash testing will still happen here in California. We think that we will get bodies from CPC. We will build up the first validation vehicles here, and we will crash test them locally. One, so our engineers can get a visceral feel for how those tests are going. Two, so we can be in control of how we show everybody how that's happening. So we'll take video and pictures and show everybody how we're doing.
I'm looking forward to that. The quick suggestion, and I'll pass it on, is on the pop-ups. I like that whole pop-ups. My one suggestion is, the guy from Mexico, I forgot his name, was it Roy?
Roy.
Okay, there's a big Latino community, a lot of Mexican Americans and people from all across Southern California, but there's a cultural event specific to Mexican Americans, and Mexico is Dia de los Muertos, which is really a celebration of the ones who passed. And they're going to have some big ones coming up, and it would be great to do a pop-up at one of the big ones is actually at the Hollywood Cemetery. It's huge. If you can figure out logistically how to do that, but if you can't do that, there are going to be very huge events that you can really tap into to that community, to the Latin community.
I love that idea. That's great. That's awesome. Thanks, Orlando.
And my brother who is in that neighborhood in Echo Park, he just retired from the city council. He was a communications director. He's on their Earth Day committee for 2024. So I'll follow up with the email with the events committee, because they definitely want to push Aptera. In fact, by that time, hopefully test rides by April of next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
awesome.
Aptera's happening, baby.
Yay, thank you. Okay, I think we have time for one more question before we have to whisk Chris off here.
Thanks, Orlando. All right, John, you're up.
Unmute real fast. If Aptera were to be declared a car, what would happen? What would you have to do?
We'd have to go through a deeper homologation, and you would have to have a third-party sign-off to be federally homologated. So it's just some extra steps and some extra dollars, and you got to pay a lot of third parties in there. So, we would have to bump the accelerator by another 20 to 40 million to cover the cost of being a four-wheeler.
Well, there's only one line in the IRS code that defines what a car is. If that line goes away, there's no definition of a car having four wheels.
Well, that's a battle that I don't think we'll be able to fight with 20 to 40 million. It'll probably take more.
No, I'm not talking about getting the line go away. The line, I've got 2 senators and 2 representatives who are ready to make that line go away if you want it to go away. And I'll work with the governmental committee right now, but I've got 2 senators and 2 representatives who are ready to go ahead and introduce, just slide some legislation in another package and make that and revise the IRS code, and that line is gone. And now we have no definition of a car.
I think the FMVSS and NHTSA would still say if it has 4 wheels, it's a car, and we're going to make you comply.
Well,
the IRS may not, classify it the same, but
right.
The FMVSS would.
Okay, well, now the IRS definition determines who gets the credits, is it not?
Oh yeah, that's a different call. Yeah, that would be something to discuss in the lobbying committee, and Dwayne would probably have comments. That's 2 tiers above my head legally. So
okay.
But we appreciate the support and commitment and feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. I think that's all the questions we have time for. I know I feel reinvigorated and engaged in making this experience for you as ambassadors the best that it possibly can be. You had a chance to meet our team. They're here for you. We're excited about the summer and all the things we have planned, getting closer to production every day. Anything else you want to?
It's an exciting time for Aptera. It's an exciting time to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and get ever closer to production. Let's kick this accelerator program into gear as soon as GAM is here. And if you guys have any more questions and didn't get your questions answered, please ask them in the Discord. And we'll kick that community off with a bang and get everybody taken care of question wise. But it's exciting. Thank you everybody for your support. It's so amazing to have so many people that have dedicated their time and resources and love to our mission of solar mobility. And let's have a great summer, and let's all be excited that we're really pushing to make this happen.
That's great.
Thanks everybody.
All right.
Take care.
Bye, guys. Talk to you
Bye.
soon.
Last Friday, we showed you the production design intent vehicle, Delta. Now we're moving swiftly into production, and we'd like to show you what the engineering team has been doing to get us there.
It's really been because of your support, your investment, that we've come so far over the last year. And our engineering team has done some truly amazing work in that time. We want to show you how we've used your investment and talk about how you can help us take our next steps into production. This presentation is very confidential. It's really us sharing super confidential information with you because you've supported us all this time. But it's good stuff. It's juicy stuff. So let's go through this material, and we'll bring in Akosh and Nick over time to talk about how all this is coming together. But really, you guys all know our mission. We're a creative company. We're creating energy for transportation and doing it in the most efficient manner possible. And we've got an amazing team together to do that. Sarah and her team have done such an amazing job putting all this together on the marketing side. And Pablo's done an amazing job on the manufacturing side, taking everything that our engineers have created and figuring out how to actually build that with the help of Sandy Monroe. We'll also talk about our partners and how all those people have come together to help us. We'll start the presentation talking about industrial design. Jason's not here today. We wish he was, but
he's watching.
Hopefully watching, at least on the at least on the link. But he really took our mathematical shape and made it beautiful.
Right. We gave him this, like you said, mathematical shape, and said fit two people in it side by side and make it look nice. Because the shape of zero drag is one thing, but making it into a passenger vehicle that people love is entirely another.
We think he's come up with something beautiful, but here's what it looks like in its raw form without any of the covers on it or coloring. And we think that what we've ended up with is just striking and beautiful, and certainly will get noticed in your community. When you bring your first Aptera home and park it in your driveway, be prepared to answer your door, because people will come knocking, asking you what this amazing vehicle is, and you get to tell the wonderful story about solar mobility.
Not for introverts.
Not for introverts. But this is our launch edition vehicle. This is the latest renderings from Jason. The beautiful interior, I think, just says so much about how we're trying to make this vehicle not only the most efficient thing on the road, but also comfortable and very usable.
Just one thing, you're going to see some real hardware today too, but what's important about these renderings is they are from CAD data. This is the same CAD data from which the interior tooling, the body tooling, suspension tooling, everything is made from. It's taken from CAD data and then rendered. So it's not just something that's drawn, it's actually production CAD data that you're looking at that's been rendered into a nice image.
Yeah, it's been very cool to see the engineering evolution through each kind of cycle of our existence. We had the alphas, then we had the betas, and now gammas out in the wild. It's in Italy and now traveling to Switzerland. But we design something in CAD, and then we actually build it, and you get to see it come to life. And that will be the same thing with this vehicle as you start to see pre-production vehicles soon.
Now we'd like to welcome our Vice President of Engineering, Akosh Feher. Akosh, good morning.
Good morning. Nice cozy couch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a love seat.
We'll get close and cozy. But I started talking to you maybe 2 years ago, and then we brought you on the team about a year ago. It's been a pleasure working with you and bringing all your previous skills to the table, especially in high volume composite manufacturing.
We had this problem of Chris and I thinking that we would only be worried about making 2,000 or 3,000 vehicles a year. And when we turned on the pre-order program, we got 2,000 reservations in the first week or two. So we realized right away that our old way of thinking about composites and resin fusion and stuff, while great for low volume, just wouldn't scale to the demand that you folks were showing us. I think now we're almost at 41,000 reservations. So we said we've got to find a better way to make this, lower cost, faster, higher quality, 20, 40,000 units a year. And that's where Akos comes into the picture. So he found the perfect partner for us.
Yes, so when I came on board, the mandate was very clear, 20,000 vehicles a year. We couldn't do it the way, as you said, we couldn't do it the way that we were planning on. Originally, we needed new technologies, new ways of looking at the problem. We also had to maintain our ability to create a safe vehicle for our clients and customers, and also at the same time, you know, when you look at 20,000 vehicles a year, that translates to 10 to 12 minutes to build one vehicle, and that requires a completely different skill set and technologies. We have an amazing team here in Carlsbad, but we knew from the beginning we couldn't do it from just by ourselves, so we actually had to bring on board some key partners that would help us build this.
You built a global team of vendors and suppliers specifically for this. So maybe you could tell us a little bit.
Well, really, the impetus for this team was our shift from cord composite structures into carbon fiber SMC, and that kind of drastically changed the vehicle architecture. So you had to kind of build a new team to focus on how do we build with this new technology, this carbon fiber SMC that is great, strong, lightweight. You can embed fasteners and posts to connect things to. It really is a game-changing technology to build 50 or 100,000 vehicles a year, not the 2,000 or 4,000 vehicles a year we could build with resin infusion and cord composites. But I really saw this as, you know, you kind of reshaping the company around this new carbon fiber SMC and how we execute on that in high volume.
Yes, and we were lucky to find this new technology and a company called the CPC out of Modena, Italy. They are in the heart of the Mora Valley in Italy, and they have this technology that the easiest way to describe it is like a waffle iron, stamping composite panels. And later on in the presentation, you will see how that actually allowed us to create a very simple architecture for the vehicle. And it wasn't just my merit to bring these partners. Obviously, Pablo's team has done an excellent job in building a global team of partners around this team here in Carlsbad. And on the slide, you can see some of the key partners that we have. Obviously, CPC in Modena and ETP. I guess Italians love acronyms for names. So ETP is a highly regarded engineering design firm in Turin, Italy, that has been working with CPC for decades, and they have been instrumental in helping Jason translate the design, the industrial design, into actual CAD, engineering CAD and parts. And the next step is going to be obviously tooling, and I know you will show some goodies about that later. We also have companies like Danisi and Steparava and Costem. They are working on the structural battery frame. And from the beginning, we have been working with companies like Roush and Yazaki, and obviously Sandy Monroe's team up in Detroit. So again, we have a very focused, very hardcore team here in Carlsbad, but working globally with these partners that without these partners, we wouldn't be where we are today.
One thing about the Motor Valley in Italy is that our volumes, let's say between 20 or 40,000 units a year, they seem like a lot for us. But if you're talking with any kind of tier one or automotive company in Detroit, that's nothing. They might not even accept the meeting or return your phone call. But that 20 to 40,000 unit per year is the sweet spot for these companies in Italy. And you couple that with a strong dollar, versus a euro, and we're really able to stretch our dollar in terms of engineering effort, output, value, by working with these companies that you brought us from Italy.
And one of the big surprises for us, positive surprises for us, was the enthusiasm that not just CPC but ETP and the rest of the partners have shown. They are not just suppliers to us; they literally bought into the project, and they want to be partners. and that was great to see. And again, we know a lot of companies that know how to build 1 million of something. We know a lot of companies that know how to build one of something. We are kind of in that middle, that very challenging middle, and I think we're on the right path to actually crack that nut and really make it work around 20,000, 30,000 units a year.
Now we wanted to take you through kind of each of these zones that we call them, engineering groups, and show you their amazing progress.
So Anuj Thakur is our head of solar, and he was our first employee that we hired for the solar project. And he basically was given an empty room, the ability to hire a bunch of employees, and a ramp card with a virtually unlimited amount of spend to figure out how do you make automotive grade panels that you can bend in 3 dimensions. And since then, he and his group have created the single largest, I'd say, contingent of intellectual property within the company, all about making these solar panels, making them, bending them 3 dimensions, figuring out how they'll last for 10 years, from UV protection, from hail protection, impact protection, vibration like you'd have in automotive. There's nobody really doing this at the time, and so we had to figure this all out from scratch. But in doing so, we believe that we have the highest performance solar panels, lightest weight solar panels, probably going to be the lowest cost solar panels for automotive use. One of the things that makes these panels unique is their ability to have high longevity, so over 10 years, to be very lightweight, and that comes through the proprietary stack of materials, not only the composition of the polymers, but where they are in the stack and how thick they are. That enables us to protect against moisture and all kinds of other contaminants over a long period of time. This is a really cool picture here. Most people don't know that if you reverse bias a solar cell, it'll emit infrared light. And so this is how we test for damage during our impact tests. On the left, you see, for example, an off-the-shelf stack of laminate. So that if you buy a solar panel from Amazon or something like that, you would have a laminate stack that's very low cost and easy to make, but it's not necessarily designed for longevity. So, we can test panels like that against, or that stack, I should say, against our panels with our hail gun that Anuj and his team have built. I don't know what it is with the Americans' fascinations with building guns, but we built an ice gun to shoot the sort of regulation 1-inch ice cubes at this panel. And you can see that on the left, the conventional kind of way of doing it, these cells don't illuminate, means they're not functioning. But on the right, our cells still continue to illuminate, which means there is no cracking, micro cracking, or anything like that. So, being able to model the micro cracking, track it, make sure that it's not propagating is just one of the many small things that Anuj and his team have done to make sure these are going to have a long life.
Anuj has been doing a great job building out the assembly line in the solar building, and he's actually at low volume production now, but we're aspiring to fill his facility with solar production equipment and really ramp that line up.
Yeah, and this is a line that Anuj and his team have designed and also had feedback from Monroe and Associates. So, these are world-class people, not only looking and reviewing at this line, but just making sure that it's going to meet all of our requirements so we can build all the vehicles that you've ordered.
And let's not forget about the challenge that they had to integrate these solar panels with our new Bink. That is something that we actually pretty much on the forefront of technology. Nobody has done that before, so it's a great challenge, but I think we are doing really well and making sure that these panels integrate very well onto the body of the vehicle.
Gustavo has been leading our amazing structural battery pack team, making one of the industry's most energy dense battery packs. It's been great to see the evolution over the last year, working with Sandy's team, analyzing other people's battery packs that are in production, and taking all the good and adding in some of our proprietary technologies to really make this a super energy dense pack that really works well for our 42 kilowatt launch edition vehicles. These are just some renderings of how the pack kind of comes together.
Some of the different layers that you're looking at are the cooling plates on the individual modules. So a lot of the speculation in the forums and online chatter have been, is the battery air cooled or not? No, the battery is liquid. It's liquid cooled, liquid heated. So the thermal management of the battery is liquid. Whether it's heated or cooled, depends on the environment, but it is a liquid cooled battery.
Carl's been doing an amazing job leading our powertrain team, working with the LAFE to co-develop more energy efficient, lighter weight, less part count propulsion device. And this really is the most efficient powertrain you can put on a vehicle now.
Yeah, if you look at it might be difficult to see the power curve, but the standard motor that Alafe had developed was very efficient in a regime that was not our regime. So it was very efficient under a higher load that you'd need for a heavy vehicle. Well, with the Aptera being so lightweight and also not having virtually no drag resistance at speed, it was in a different load regime compared to what they designed for. So we had to shift the design of the motor, change the windings, change the arrangement of the magnets to shift that sort of efficiency mode from where it was to where Aptera will dwell at high speeds, and that improved the efficiency tremendously.
This is kind of the motor breakout, but I think it's significant to point out that you know, the upright, the thing that holds the motor to the suspension, is actually part of the motor. So we were able to reduce part count and reduce weight, and it's just a much easier assembly to put together.
To be clear, this is not their motor. This is the one that we co-developed.
Yeah. We also co-developed a silicon carbide inverter with a partner just north of us, and it's great to have an inverter that's 97% efficient versus kind of the industry 92% efficient. You can take that extra efficiency, that 5% extra efficiency, and take that right out of the battery pack because you're not losing those electrons as they're going through the inverter to the motor. You don't have to have the battery power to push those electrons. So the money we save on battery, we can spend on a more sophisticated inverter.
Yeah, and this is a Rev A inverter. Rev B, the package is, I'd say, significantly smaller. So we're not showing a rendering of that yet, but we have to leave something for a surprise. But the silicon carbide makes that efficiency possible.
Vidar has been doing amazing things in vehicle integration, mostly on the low voltage side. This shows you kind of our low voltage harnessing.
Yeah, Aptera has taken what we call a zonal approach for low voltage I/O. That means instead of having a traditional big, unwieldy copper wiring harness that goes over the whole vehicle that weighs hundreds of pounds, we have actually a very small harness that connects point of use controllers around the vehicle. And it connects with a LIN bus instead of a CAN bus. And the reason why that's important is you hear of CAN bus in automotive, it's kind of the standard. And our systems use a CAN bus for powertrain and infotainment and things like that. But when you press the button and have the window go down or open the trunk or do anything like that, that doesn't require the high-speed nature of CAN. So we can use LIN. And the reason why that's important is it means the chips are cheaper, they're more available. And it makes the overall cost of the wiring system less than if it were all CAN based. But it's distributed, it uses less copper, it's lighter weight, and it gives us virtually infinite control.
Yeah, 30-pound wiring harness versus a 90-pound wiring harness.
Right.
And this shows, this is a great example of the modular approach that we have to the whole entire vehicle. Mm-hmm. This approach allows us to really integrate all of the systems, not just the electrical system, with the BINC and the structural battery frame.
And I can't leave out that Vidar is also on charging systems, and he was the one who integrated the new NACS Tesla charger into the vehicle.
Yes.
So
thanks, Vidar.
Great progress.
And he made us famous in Sweden.
Exactly, he's Swedish, so the Swedes love us.
Tack så mycket.
Charlie is leading our body controls and electrical engineering, and really leading the team that controls the zonal architecture.
Yeah, so just to elaborate a little bit about this, you might imagine a single wiring harness. Why would you even think about this? Why would this be an area of focus for us? Even with modern OEMs, one of the biggest problems for warranty and repairs are wiring harnesses, the connectors. And so simply by reducing the size of the wiring harness, reducing the number of connectors and connections, you can increase quality and reliability by moving all that to silicon, to circuit boards. And so instead of a wiring harness that goes everywhere, we have a very small harness that connects these point of use controllers, POUCs that we call. And the POUC has a common architecture, hardware and firmware stack that we developed that's the same for every one of them. It's abstracted. So it's only the small IOs, whether it's digital inputs or outputs or analog inputs or outputs, that change based on the specific need. But it's all connected with LIN bus. It's much cheaper than CAN bus, and it's lighter weight because instead of 4 wires, we only need 3.
And this actually shows all the things that those point of use controllers control. So there's lots of things in the vehicle, even though we're a very simple vehicle, but you still have to turn on the lights, you still have to run the air conditioning, you still have to do all those
Right,
things.
the pumps, the vanes in the air conditioning unit to direct the flow, any door sensor, all those things have to be read by something. In a traditional automotive application, they're all routed back to a central box. That's a lot of wiring, a lot of copper. We push it out to the extremities, to the point of use where it's used, and we save on the copper and the cost.
Brian's leading our center infotainment display division, human machine interfaces. We actually acquired his company, Andromeda, and they had developed display systems, and we're selling them out into the EV world to different commercial applications and agriculture type vehicles. But we've really taken what he's done and taken it to the next level. Our energy tipster that shows you how far you can travel, not just in a bubble, which most people do, draw a circle around you, but actually when it comes to traffic, climate, and elevation. So this map on the right here is how far you can go on the charge in your Aptera per the streets and per the elevation. So not just a bubble of, hey, you have 200 miles of range, but this is how far you can go on that road. And it's a really cool system, making everything very usable for the Aptera driver, knowing how much energy you're using, how much energy you're creating, and how far it will take you is kind of the goal with our display systems.
So Nathan Engler is heading up our chassis and suspension team, and this team is responsible for developing the chassis and obviously our suspension system, and also going to morph into this new role of leading our validation, homologation, and testing team in the next few months.
That's a really interesting point. Maybe a different company or a larger company would have a team, a chassis team that's constantly creating new chassis for new vehicles. And we're laser focused on this vehicle right now. So he's able to take his team, because they have done this kind of validation work in the past, and transform them into the validation and testing team.
Absolutely, and this is a good rendering of the current status of the structural battery frame that is very modular in nature, and obviously it was a departure from your original idea of using a front end and the rear end structures, sandwiching a composite body.
Which we fought.
Yeah, the beta that people have seen actually has a front suspension and a rear suspension that's attached just to the composite body, and there wasn't really a force vector from the front suspension to the rear suspension except through the body. So I think one of the big things that happened when we started talking with CPC and ETP is they said create a load path from the front suspension to the rear, and everything gets a lot easier.
Yes, and we will see that in the next few slides, but this architecture also allows us again to go back to the famous 12 minutes cycle time. We can build this frame with the suspension components on a sub-assembly line, and then marry it with the bink at a later point in the assembly line. This is the front end of the vehicle, again very modular. It's an unequal A-arm setup. We brought the shocks and suspension components to the center of the vehicle, centralizing the center of gravity into the nose of the vehicle. And again, as we said, it's a modular setup. So I think Sandy Monroe is in love with the idea of creating sub-assembly lines where you can put components together. This whole front end can be put together in one station, and then installed into the frame and then into the vehicle at a later time. And we can allows us to play with the location of the assembly lines.
Right. When this subassembly is presented to the line doesn't care if it's made in whatever state or whatever country even. So that gives us the flexibility to make these wherever it makes sense.
Yep.
But then it's just a simple attachment to the vehicle.
And that fits really well into Pablo's plan of world domination. He really wants to build Apteras in every corner of the world, and this type of approach allows us to do that. It also reduces the costs and the risks, and later on quality problems.
Eight bolts and a couple connectors, and you got a front suspension.
Exactly. So this is the rear suspension architecture. I think you guys started out with a single-sided swing arm, kind of like a motorcycle style, and then that had some problems and created some problems, and now we ended up with the 4-link rear suspension that we have that works out really well.
All the other three-wheelers out there have single-sided swing arms. The problem is that as that swing arm moves in the rear, the tire actually gets closer and further away from the front suspension as you accelerate and decelerate, and it gives you some interesting, odd suspension characteristics that you kind of feel when you're driving. But this 4-link suspension lets the rear wheel float very predictably up and down evenly with the front suspension, so you don't feel it when you're stopping or accelerating. It feels just like any other kind of 4-wheel vehicle you drive.
Yeah, the single-sided swing arm or a long swing arm works really well for a motorcycle that has a different geometry, different CG than we do. This setup is ideal for our architecture.
And patented.
Patented, yes. As we said earlier, and we will show you in a little bit, actually next slide, we have done a lot of computer analysis on the structure, to increase the level of safety, and also to predict how the vehicle is going to behave once we are in production. And that this type of analysis allows us to not only to make it safer, but also speed up the development process. The switching to the structural battery frame idea architecture allows us to drive the forces, the energy in an impact, like a frontal impact or a side impact, corner impact, underneath the drivers and the passenger instead of into the actual structure. Not only makes it safer, it also makes it easier to repair, easier to service later on in the field.
And even though you get increased vehicle torsional rigidity from the structural battery pack, it still allows the impact forces to go past the battery pack.
Yeah.
Yes.
Important to note that the heaviest mass item of the vehicle is the battery, right? So try to put all the impact loads into the highest mass item, and that's exactly what this does. So I love it.
And the other thing is these obviously modern tools that allow us to analyze it. We know how aluminum works, so makes it very, very predictable, and reduces the risk of tooling something up. So we can eliminate some intermediate steps in the development of this whole entire project because we can predict how these components are going to behave.
That's a really good point. The earlier sandwich core composites we were working with, while very fast and low cost, the discontinuities between the foam core, the resin, and the skin, they're difficult to model. And so typically the only way you can characterize them is through destructive testing. But this SMC material from CPC, along with the aluminum, both which are well understood in their behavior, they can be modeled perfectly, so we don't have to do destructive testing. We can have high degree of confidence of the simulation versus real world testing.
And a lot of things that we do in digital, then we also test in an empirical manner, so out in the field. And again, going back onto Nathan's team, chassis and suspension, this is what they do, and they will be continuing doing, taking the digital data and predictions and make sure that the real world behaves exactly the same way as in the computer.
Yeah, the previous frame analysis was really finite element analysis, how that material changes on impact and under stress. But we also have simulations on how the vehicle moves and what the kinematics are of the vehicle. And that helps us with analyzing things like how will the vehicle react in curb strikes, and how will the vehicle react, on pothole tests, and, swaying back and forth and things like that. So we actually take this as beta, instrument it up, put a lot of computers and sensors on it, and then go out and test how the vehicle actually performs in the world, so we can correlate that data to what happened in the simulation. And if you get really good correlation, then when you make a change in the future, you know that that change is going to work in a predictable manner.
Yeah, and the curb strikes are pretty violent. I mean, it busted
Yeah.
all 3 tires, I think. Didn't just deflate them, it busted them. But it allowed us to collect the data to then put into the Adams model so that we have a very high degree of concordance between real life and the Adams model. So like you said, we can make a small change in software and have a high degree of confidence that it's going to behave that way in the real world.
And this chart shows the red line is the simulation, and the blue lines are when we actually went out and got real world data. So we had 95% correlation, which is just amazing, and shows you how far the simulation tools have come. This is our suspension test jig. Our engineers were considering what wires to use to go to the in-wheel motor out on the wheel and what cooling tubes to use and how they would stand up over time. And the only way to really understand it is to test it. So this guy's been running for a couple months and already has 200,000 plus miles of durability on it. But it goes up and down and it turns the wheel and it shows you how those cables and hoses are going to rub over time.
And it was really helpful because a lot of our assumptions about how to fix the cables and hoses or not to, how they would be captured or allowed to slide. Some of those concepts were jettisoned and some of those were reaffirmed. And so we were able to learn that early on with this and have a high degree of confidence so we can get, many, many miles durability out of those systems.
This is a good example of some of the areas that there's no historical data for it. So there's nobody out there doing the same thing. So we couldn't just go back and say, hey, what did some other OEM do in this situation? This is our own unique setup, and we are learning as we are doing it. So
it's a good point.
It works very, very well. And all this chassis work underlays the new body structure.
Yes, so going back to full circle, so this is the architecture that we've been talking about since the beginning. This is what CPC is doing for us. The renderings that you saw at the beginning of the presentation were actually based on the CAD data that you see here. The key is we have 6 main components to the BINC.
Compared to what?
Compared to a magnitude larger number that you would have in even a simple passenger vehicle made out of mostly sheet metal. And the tooling compared to a regular passenger car is also magnitude cheaper and simpler. And the way that the 6 components come together, it's like a Lego. It just snaps together. It makes the assembly line very efficient and streamlined. We need a fewer amount of robots and technology, and no welding, which is also good for CO2 emissions. And one of the key aspects of carbon SMC and glass SMC is that they are highly recyclable.
Yeah.
There are new technologies out there where they can reclaim the actual fibers and also the resin from these components and reuse them 5 or 6 times for the same type of application. So not just our vehicle is going to be very CO2 emission centric, but also the actual supply chain and the actual manufacturing methods going down to the raw materials. Actually, CPC mixes the raw materials right next door to their stamping facilities, so there is no need for refrigeration, there is no need for transportation for these materials. Again, we have looked at the full life cycle of the product, and that's what gave us this very simple and very elegant BINC architecture.
And this is something that we also could not do with our previous method of composites. Yeah. So we're really pleased that this material is recyclable, reusable, and that's just a story that we couldn't tell before.
And one of the main things that brought you guys initially to composites and also has been one of our mandate for the last few months is safety. I know in different markets we are going to be homologated differently. Here in North America, some of the rules that apply to us are for motorcycles. But we as a company really wanted to make sure that we are meeting the same level of safety as a regular passenger vehicle. So we are testing and designing and engineering this vehicle to the FMVSS, so the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards that are required for a passenger vehicle. And the BINC, the architecture that we have, allows us to meet those levels of safety. So all of us can sleep at night that the vehicle is as structurally safe and sound as any other four-wheeled vehicle out there.
And you know, the advantage, I guess, of making a larger car or something, it's just easy to add more steel.
Yeah.
But it's been extremely challenging to meet these requirements while also keeping the weight down. And you and your team have been doing an extraordinary job. But it hasn't been easy. There's lots of late nights, and just really, putting on your thinking cap to solve very unique problems to give this level of safety, but with our weight requirements.
Yes.
Here we saw great results from the frontal impact, and now this is the roof crush on this slide, and then the side impact on this slide.
Yeah, so we are going down to into the details on testing everything and predicting everything how it's going to work in real life. One of the key aspects we are in such an accelerated development path that this type of technology allows us to be on, that we're going straight to production tooling, and I know you will be talking about that a little bit later. And this type of testing and this type of analysis gives us the confidence that we're on the right path.
Mm-hmm. We also have to test things like the hinges and door latches. When the wind catches your door, you don't want it to break the hinge. If somebody too aggressively opens up something, or your the kid is riding his skateboard at 20 miles an hour and runs into your door, you don't want anything to fail. So we've done a lot of testing on the hinges and cycle testing, and it's all come back very, very well.
Just to make sure that it works in real life.
Yeah.
Again, the structural testing is not just for crash, but also for how you push on certain panels and how the whole body behaves. And one of the things we forgot to mention when we're talking about the solar panels, the way that the solar panels integrate with the carbon composite, the carbon SMC panels, is actually a novel idea. Instead of having two different layers of sheet metal, we have one layer of carbon SMC, and then the solar panel is actually structural. And all of those use cases have been tested digitally.
Structural solar panel.
Structural solar.
Your engineering team's doing amazing work. Now we wanted to talk about supply chain and production. And Pablo's not here, but we have Nick from our MES team.
So I'm off the hook now?
You're off the hook.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey guys.
Hey Nick.
How's it going?
Not bad. How about yourself?
Good. Thanks for inviting me on your morning show here.
Nick's been with us for over a year now, and he has great production experience with a lot of super interesting San Diego companies. And we brought him on board to help program manage, and now you're managing MES and helping the supply chain guys and doing all kinds of fun stuff for us.
We didn't talk about how your basketball game went last night.
We don't want to talk about that.
Okay,
all right. Yeah, I think I've been with you guys since you guys restarted this thing. Roles have changed over time, and now I get to work on our manufacturing systems, all the production systems as well. So roles have grown a lot. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. The vehicle's a very interesting part. Everyone's really excited about it, but sort of in the background, you have to get all the tools and systems and processes in place to be ready for the product when it's ready to go into production. So
what I've seen I was sorry, go ahead.
Really, your production team has been working on this beautiful facility we're in now to get it ready for production.
And what I've seen at some other startups that I've either been involved with or made aware of is that, when engineers have a product that they bring to production, oftentimes things like the bill of materials are on a spreadsheet and all the work instructions might be created and live somewhere else, and the documents and the CAD files are not all integrated. And then when the orders come in and it's time to scale, everything just explodes. So instead of doing that, Nick and Pablo started from the beginning to build the infrastructure in place so that we could have an MES system that lets us start and then grow and scale with as little difficulty as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, MES system is manufacturing execution system. Not everybody knows those acronyms out there, but it's really to control everything. And you see the facility here. We have 12 stations that are building vehicles every 12 minutes. How does inventory move into that? How do you track, the torque of each bolt that somebody puts in? How do you track, when an operator takes a part off the shelf and now it's in the vehicle, so another part has to come from inventory. But that's what Nick's been working on behind the scenes, is really refining that system over the last year.
Yeah. We did a phased approach really to incorporate this. So that's what you see here, and it tied really well to the buildings, the locations we were in. So sort of different rules for different locations as we matured from making concept cars, show cars, the alphas to the betas. So we were at the yard there. We moved to what we were calling the Loker building, and now we're here at El Camino. And the design tools, we've been using the same design tools, but sort of adding more maturity as we go, moving from just tracking things on spreadsheets and using local vendors, machine shops, doing internal processes, to adding more engineering rigor, change control, revision control management, more documentation. That's where we started to test out our MES system, which really connects tools on the factory floor with your system and your demand planning system. And then here at Seoul, this is where everything's sort of coming together. So we brought on NetSuite for our ERP, MRP system, and that really is the hub, the link, financial, where everything comes together. We take reservations from the reservation system, bring that in, that merges with the bill of materials from engineering that we convert from an engineering BOM to a manufacturing BOM. And that's fed into our demand planning system that lines up all the orders, and that pushes out purchase orders and requests for quotes to vendors, so that material comes in just in time at the right time, based on configurations, and the MES system then executes that on the floor, pushing whatever the build is for that day, that however we're going to execute things. And it's triggering equipment. We do integrations with smart equipment on the factory floor to trigger that build, that configuration, whatever it is, and then collect data as well. So automated tools, that imagers, scanners, temperature sensors, whatever we want to control, that data comes into the MES system and is tracked by serial number and by vehicle VIN. So we know when a car or a vehicle leaves here, we know everything about it. So full traceability is really what we're shooting for, from not just the factory floor, but all the way back to engineering. What design decisions were made, what torque value was picked, did that get to the floor, is that recorded by serial number? And that's what we've been doing. We've done that in a simulated lab area. It's that floor plan you saw, which is the actual building, but we did it in a very compressed area, a small room, and we are running through all the material handling, material tracking, movement, exercising, integrations, simulating the factory as if it were ready, so that it is ready. And we proved that out. So the solar line was the first to get up and running. So we introduced MES system into that line, and it was pretty seamless. It was like a day or two, and we were just process mapping, and it was already up and running because we had tested everything in a simulated environment. This was all sort of behind the scenes while the vehicles being designed.
So instead of waiting for production to begin, it's like you're preparing for battle. You guys are simulating the entire build of the vehicle. You're testing the system for stress and scale and seeing what breaks, fixing it, and just making sure that everything is ready to handle 40 vehicles a day.
Yeah, and we want to start obviously with launch editions and have commonality, but we're already prepared for variations. You can configure the vehicle, or we're planning for future state when you have multiple vehicles. Maybe things are running through the same line. Like we have to be prepared for that before it happens. So that's been a big effort for the last year or so.
It's very cool to see the vehicle being virtually built before there's ever anything on the manufacturing floor. I've had 8 startups, and to have all these tools at your disposal, I think we're in just a very unique time for startups to be able to scale more effectively. To be able to design it and then put that part into product life management, and then be able to have that in your enterprise resource planner, and then throw it over to your manufacturing execution system and actually have all that data tracked from beginning to end. It just makes for a whole different world, and understanding your cost, understanding the time to actually build that product, and in the end, understanding your profitability. So, I've had other companies where you're managing things on Excel spreadsheets, and then you actually start building them, and then they cost a lot more, and
Right.
they take a lot longer to build. And then, by the time you want to add a sophisticated system, it costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars and a long, long time to implement.
How do these Red Viking AGVs come into play versus like a regular assembly line?
These are material handling equipment, automation. So, the nice thing about it is, right, you can program these things, and you can get data from them. So you can trigger them to move, where to move to, where the stations are. You can get data on where stuff's at, and if you need to move something out of the line or back in. It's automating, instead of pushing a car around or carts or whatever. You're on the AGV, and that's where your factory automation comes in. And that's usually the start of it. At some point, you're on the wheels, and you can roll. But
So in a typical automotive assembly, if they have an issue with quality, they either have to stop the line or push the defective vehicle out and then to what they call the hospital and fix it later. But here, the AGVs can leave the line, and something could be sorted out or repaired, and then everything else behind it would just continue.
yeah, and those are probably very situational on what the issue is. Is it affected downstream? Is it just a single vehicle?
But it lets
you
us
have options.
Yes, and it also lets us move into virtually any building
Yeah.
to set up an assembly line, because we don't have things chiseled into the floor. We have these robotic carts that move the vehicle from station to station.
Yeah, I think the idea has always been sort of this transparent factory. It could almost like be there, it's not there. Everything's just kind of floating through and passing through. The AGVs just know kind of where to start and stop and land, and that's where people work. And then it moves to the next thing, and then that's where people work. And everything's tracked by serial numbers, so you know where that car is. Or vehicle is tied to the AGV. It's all integrated. That's our vision.
Very nice.
Yeah, before you can start simulating a factory, you have to know what equipment's going to be in that factory. So it's great that we have virtually all of the equipment quoted and almost sourced for our facility. You see on the list here, all these are the things that will fill our factory in terms of equipment. And the only thing that we're still working on is closing a contract on the battery assembly and module assembly parts of the factory.
Yeah, and I would add to that, Chris, it's not only selected and sourced, but it's also been awarded.
Yes.
So these companies have already been awarded the business.
And then Monroe knows what's equipment is in our facility, so they can work on their end for, takt time and cycle time analysis. And they've been a great resource and, kind of pointing us in the right direction. No, you want this kind of equipment, not this kind of equipment. We've seen facilities with this kind of equipment. It didn't work so good. So go to
We
this
have
vendor.
seen it.
And the vehicle, the parts that actually build the Aptera have been largely sourced. 92% of the value of our bill of materials has been sourced and awarded. Some of the things that are lagging, the body controls and some integration stuff, those point of use controllers and some of the wiring harness stuff, we're still waiting for quotes to come back. And then select a final vendor for them. So that's why they're lagging. But we don't have to pick them as quick as some of the harder items like the body structure and suspension. Those things have really long leads, 6-9 months in some cases. So you have to lock those down early. Some of the electronic components and connectors and stuff, you can get those within weeks. So we don't have to be as concerned about those. This is a list of all of our suppliers. There's a lot of them. The external, parts of the vehicle. Some of these are internal, but
Yeah, it's good to note on this. I mean, I think, when we started 2 years ago, there were no suppliers on here.
Yeah.
We had maybe Alafe,
Yeah.
and over time, you know, it's a ton of work that Pablo's team, the supply chain team, have done to go out and right. A lot of these are down selected suppliers. I mean, there's so many suppliers that you go to, you talk to, audit, try and down select to get to this point. It's a lot of effort and networking, and making sure you find the right fit and who has capacity and throughput to get down to this. So there's a lot of lines, which is good. Orange lines are good, and we want lots of those. But we've come a long way. You know, we didn't always have all these guys lined up. Same thing within interior. I mean, so many suppliers now lined up that we didn't have anything, you know, a year or so ago. Just shows a lot of the progress that's been made up to this point.
Tier 1 suppliers that you'd expect to, you know, provide parts to Toyota or Ford or, you know, the traditional automotive supply chain, you know, provides a lot of what's in our vehicle. Though we have a lot of uniqueness, there's a lot of just standard things that we need. This is kind of those suppliers on a bigger chart, but it's taken a lot of relationships to drive us towards production.
Yeah, I mean the tier ones, right? They have suppliers as well. There's a full supply chain even behind these guys that were, you know, standing on the shoulders of giants here, trying to get a full vehicle completed. You know, it requires leveraging a lot of these vendors who've built capabilities. You know, we want off-the-shelf parts wherever we can, tailoring parts that we have to, and then, you know, we design ourselves what we have to, what there's nothing out in industry to go get. And then as well, the equipment suppliers that we have on the bottom there, right, just as important. There might be more equipment parts than vehicle parts. So, you know, we have so much material handling equipment, assembly equipment, robotics, all these equipment vendors, you know, just as important to get the line set up and integrate the product into production.
And aside from the suppliers, a lot of strategic relationships, you know, from Crank helping us with our user interface software, Alafe co-developing our motors and initially building them in Slovenia, but then onshoring that production to the U.S. Eve with battery cells and Hinduja Tech with just a lot of other engineering resources. It adds a really deep bench to what we're doing. Maxion for the solar cells and Roush for more engineering contracting, helping with the suspension, helping with some of the impact studies, some of the thermal stuff. Roush is very good at what they do, and they have a lot of great engineers to add to what we're doing. Yazaki is the largest wiring harness manufacturer there, and half of every new vehicle sold. We are small fry to them, but they love solar mobility, and they've offered to help any way they can, and they really have pulled through. You know, we have some other help with the supply chain in Asia with Chery. They're the largest vehicle exporter in China, and we've licensed 2 of their vehicle platforms and are using a lot of those parts. And obviously CPC is a huge relationship, not just in the size of their presses, but in how to get this body structure put together. They've just been so welcoming to our idea for solar mobility and how we get this thing built, and they are just running towards production as fast as they can. And we have something very special to show you, something that not even everybody in the company has seen yet. You know, we have actually started cutting production tools with CPC, and this tool right here is our first production body.
Can you tell
side
what
tool.
it is?
Left-hand body side.
There you go. We've seen the data, so you're cheating. But this is just, it's extraordinary. It's a first huge step towards production. And, you know, this block of steel is you know, it's the size of a Toyota Prius.
I mean,
so
all these blocks, they started their life in Germany about 6 months ago when we placed the order for them. So it's taken that long to, you know, have them made. They have to get in the production queue, then they have to be shipped to Italy. You can't put many of them, I think only one on a truck, just because of their size. And then to get them into the queue to start machining. And here it is, January, on schedule, and we're cutting tools for the 6 structural parts for the Bink. So this is a massive milestone for us.
And the steel is just so pretty. This is another, this is a right-hand body side, again cheating from the data, but look at those steel chunks fly. And this is actually one of the cover panel parts, but very cool to see all of those things coming together.
And this isn't really also just an important part. This isn't, parts coming in and out and going all over in Italy. This is CPC's own tool shop. They've helped us design the parts. They've designed the tooling. They're machining the tooling under their facility. Then they'll be operating the tooling in their presses. So they're extremely vertically integrated, which gives us both control over quality and functionality and price.
Yeah, it's amazing to see these things come together. I love it when a plan comes together, type of thing. But it's been a long road thinking about how we build volume composites. How do we build 100,000 Aptera a year, not how do we build 100 or 1,000 or 2,000? And this is really the first steps to doing that. So now we're going to talk about how we actually push this manufacturing plan forward. We'll let Nick go. Thanks so much for talking us through some of the supply chain and MES. It's all amazing stuff, and it's great to hear it from the people themselves. Now we're going to talk about how you can help us get to production. We want to see Aptera on the road as quickly as possible, and you can help. Today, we're announcing the Aptera Accelerator Program. And this program opens up 2,000 reservation slots for the early launch edition vehicles. We're going to run this program through March 26th. We might extend it, but that seems like a reasonable amount of time for this program. And it's a minimum of a $10,000 investor. But everyone on this call is a previous investor. So for everyone on the call and previous investors, if you invest $10,000, we will also count the previous money you invested in this campaign. And we're all fighting for the coveted #1 Aptera Launch Edition reservation slot. We feel that's going to be very valuable. So, the person that invests the most money in this campaign will get Aptera reservation #1, and then the second most, Aptera 2, 3, 4, all the way through those 2,000 slots. And we think this will be a pretty cool way for people to get the first really valuable vehicles. Don't worry if you're a Paradigm Edition holder. If you are able to get one of these early Launch Edition reservation slots, we'll deliver your vehicle as a Launch Edition, Paradigm Edition, so you'll have an extra special vehicle. But if you want to invest, you have to go to invest.aptera.us. And if you want to see the leaderboard after you invest, see where you are in the stack of reservations, go to aptera.us/leaderboard, and you'll be able to see the progress on this campaign. How we're going to use this money, we think that this campaign can raise $20 to $50 million rather quickly, and that can really accelerate our path to production. It can buy us, laser welders for the battery line. It can buy us lamination equipment for the solar line. It can finish the beautiful steel tooling that you just saw at CPC, assembly jigs and assembly equipment for the line, and also, we've been selected for a very consequential grant, and it allows us to match that grant and start on that grant right away. We're also applying for a government loan, a very large loan package, which is supposed to make the nation more green and bring fresh technologies to transportation. It's perfect for us.
And we're talking with large institutional investors, with sovereign funds, and having very engaging conversations, but those deals take time to close.
And this campaign will help us push towards production while we're completing those conversations, and bring those to conclusion sometime in the coming months. It really helps us on our launch strategy, and we realize we're giving up the first 2,000 reservation slots, and a lot of you have early reservations, and now you have to invest in this campaign to earn one of the top spots. But overall, if we get to production 3 to 6 months quicker, that means everybody receives their vehicle quicker. So even if you're after the 2,000th reservation slot, if we can get into production 3 or 6 months quicker, we will have built more than those 2,000 vehicles. So we think it's a plan that works for everyone. It accelerates our path to production. It puts more Aptera on the road. We want to see parking lots filled with solar mobility, grid independent mobility, mobility that makes your life easier, that costs less, that uses less material to create your transportation device. And with your help, we can do it. So we encourage you to go invest in this campaign and try to earn that top spot. And please tell your friends. If you have a friend that wants to be the first in their community with an Aptera, these first 2,000 slots are the way to do it. So we're humbled by your ongoing support. All of your investments have made everything you've seen today possible. It's been amazing that everyone has had just such positive words and kind gestures. We cheese and cookies on the table from people that have sent for holiday gifts. So we hope that our community can just keep marching forward and we can bring solar mobility to the masses quickly.
It's been a long road for us, but we still have a little ways to go. But with your help, we're going to get there.
Thanks, everyone. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to take any questions?
Yeah, do you
guys want to take a few?
Yeah, we can take a couple questions. We'd be glad to.
I can clear my throat.
About the program?
Yeah, so probably maybe no technical questions this time. Just
Okay.
questions about the program only.
Sure. Sarah's going to feed us some questions. We're happy to answer.
Just put them in the chat. I think that's easier.
In the chat.
Oh, we're not watching.
If you have questions, put them in the chat, and we're happy to answer.
Q&A. Okay.
Let's see.
We're gonna ask questions.
A lot of people excited.
Awesome.
That's good, actually.
Let's see. Any financials? Are we sharing any more detailed financial information? Whoa. Okay, here, hold on. Sorry, there's lots of.
How much of this?
Sorry, they're trying to check the questions.
Let's see. Do you want to kind of explain how this money unlocks our path to production a little more?
Yeah, it's really about kicking off some of the long lead equipment and tooling.
Right.
There's a lot of big purchases that we need to make, and if we hold off on those purchases, it just delays the actual time when we can start production. So the brake system is something that we need to kick off. The CPC tools are pretty long lead. It takes CPC about 6 months to commission those tools. So they're cutting now. It's about 6 months before they start making parts out of those tools. But it really does unlock a lot of the initial spend that we have to make this 12-month production path happen. And it also really enables us. This grant is pretty significant.
Right. We still have to finalize the grant. We've been selected for the grant. It still has to be finalized with the state. But for us to begin receiving that, it's a matching. So it's a 60-40 match. So we have to spend $1 and then we get back 40 cents, something like that. So we have to have the money to get the match.
Yeah.
Can you clarify just that it's a new $10,000 investment?
Yeah, for existing investors, it's a new $10,000 investment, and then we will count your previous investment. We know there's probably a lot of investors on this call that may be a heavy lift. We greatly appreciate your support, and if you can invest any in this campaign, whether it's $100 or $500, it really helps our mission towards solar mobility for all. But this program, we're really trying to get the average investment of those 2,000 reservation slots up. Because if the average investment in this campaign is $20,000, that's $40 million for our production efforts, and that gets us going. That gets us on the 12-month plan. So we hope that the top spots go for a lot. We hope that people are really competing for that top spot, and it would be great if it was a million or more to get that top reservation slot, because that will be a very, very special vehicle. It will be the first production solar vehicle. And we think it'd be really valuable and something people will hopefully fight for.
Absolutely.
Great. Can you talk about IPO timing?
Yeah, if we're able to have a successful campaign here, and that helps us unlock the rest of our 12-month plan to get to production, we're looking to do an IPO just before we start production, because that's when we feel it's just the right time to kind of access the public markets. So hopefully, if it's a 12-month path to production, it's also a 12-month path to IPO. But there's a lot of factors there, and there's a lot of ways that we could go public. We're considering public options now. That could help with some of our funding through the next year. So it could happen really soon, but our plan is that once we get into production, that should be about the right time to do an IPO.
We'd be in the strongest position then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can can you talk about international expansion and how international customers can participate in this promotion?
Yeah, we have plans to build eight assembly facilities across the world by 2028. We want to deliver 1 million Aptera across the world by 2033. So we have ambitious goals. We want to be everywhere. We want to be shipping to Europe and Australia and parts of Asia and the Netherlands. And we may have production facilities very close to those places. But if you're in Europe and want to support this campaign, you will have to take delivery of these first 2,000. All the launch edition vehicles will be delivered here in California. So if you're going to take delivery of your vehicle, you're either going to have to make arrangements to receive it in California or buy a plane ticket and come and get a hug from the founders and get your personal delivery done here and learn how to use your Aptera while you're here in Southern California, and then figure out how to get your vehicle back to Europe.
But I think it's the other answer is also that it's going to be homologated for the North American market first.
Yes.
And then we'll have a schedule we can talk about publicly of what countries it'll be homologated in next, and that's going to be.
There's exemptions to get a few vehicles into almost any country.
Right.
But if we want to ship 10,000 vehicles to Europe, we'll have to be homologated for Europe. So in the beginning, with our current order base, shipping to Europe is not that big an issue. You can ship 1,000 vehicles to the UK tomorrow. But if you want to ship 10,000, then the regulators want you to have all paper. Yeah, or 1,001. So.
People are asking why we chose to do it this way and not like non-refundable deposits.
Yeah, we did consider non-refundable deposits, and that was kind of the first thing that was on the table. But in California, you cannot use deposit money for anything except the build of that product.
Right. California law is very clear. Deposits are deposits, and they have to be held in escrow and able to be returned.
So once we get close to production, we'll take deposits because that money will be put right towards your vehicle, buying the parts for your vehicle. But now, we can't use that money to buy tooling and equipment and pay to execute some of the ED&T that we need to like the braking system. We just can't use deposit money for our operations or any of these things to really get us into production.
It'd be great if we could, but it's in a lockbox. You can't touch it.
Yeah, we think that a lot of people would be fine with paying a significant deposit on their Aptera, and we could raise as much or maybe more than this current campaign, but we can't use that money. So this is the way that we're asking for you to support Aptera right now.
Cool. People ask, is Aptera going to be fine without auctioning off these reservations? How do these help accelerate the plan, basically?
We're confident that this plan will get us between $20 and $50 million of funding in short order. So as I said, if the average investment in this campaign is $20,000, 20,000 times 2,000, that's $40 million. That's enough capital to kick this plan into action, and we're on a path 12 months to production. So that's what we hope will be the results from this campaign, and we hope that it will unlock, the ability for us to kick off all this tooling and do this grant work and apply for a government loan and work with equipment financiers to finance a lot of what we need to get into production, and all of that together delivers your beautiful Aptera to your driveway sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we've got active investment engagement. I mean, we've got lots of deals that we're working. Some are better than others, and we want to make sure we get the right deal for Aptera. So those are going to take a while to close, and if we can execute this program and raise $20 to $50 million, it lets us keep on the schedule, maybe even accelerate some things by spending the money today rather than a month or two from now.
Yeah, our community has been our number one asset, and we feel that we have a really strong following. Almost 1 million people following us now. We have the 15,000 investors, which you're a part of, and 40,000, almost 41,000 reservation holders for the Aptera. And within that community, we feel we have 2,000 people that would love to have one of these first reservation slots, and that will be tremendously impactful to the company. We'll continue raising bigger funding with some of these large investors and institutional and sovereign funds, and that will come. But we really just started that process towards the end of last year. We had been focused kind of on North America, and it's really Europe and India and Asia and the Middle East. That's where deals are happening.
You've seen us travel to the Middle East and Europe. We're going to Europe next week to meet with folks.
Great. Okay, what's the value of this investment? So what is the stock price at this investment?
The pre-money valuation is roughly 795 million for the company, and the stock price, the equity that you would be buying per share, is $10.50 a share.
Okay. Can you outline how the orders after the 2,000 will be prioritized?
So if you have a current reservation slot and your reservation slot is 657, then after we build these 2,000, you would still have your reservation slot. We'll still deliver according to the original reservation slots after this. But if you want one of the coveted first launch editions, then please invest in this campaign, support the early progress of the company and our path to production, and try to get number one.
Yeah, and how will those other orders be prioritized? Like location and...
Oh, yeah. Obviously, we want to deliver as many vehicles in Southern California first, and we have a rollout plan to the other states after that. But the easiest way for the launch edition is to deliver them here because they're close. If there's any issues, we can take care of them. And California is very easy to sell in. There's no restrictions for us in California. We're a California company. We're a registered motor vehicle manufacturer. We can deliver here tomorrow. We can sell the vehicles that are on the floor.
And we do have a state-by-state rollout plan. We just haven't shared that publicly yet, and that's something that Sarah and her team have been working on.
Yeah.
Great. And then how many days of production do we expect to take to make the first 2,000 vehicles?
Oh, that's a good question. We are not slowly stepping into production. We're not starting at 1 vehicle a day and then going to 2 vehicles a day and then going to 40 vehicles a day. We're going to 40 vehicles a day. There's some line prove out for that. And Pablo has said, it takes about 9 months to get the line rolling and then about 3 months of prove out, and then you're starting production.
Right.
So, when we're building at 40 vehicles a day, it's about 10,000 a year. Those first 2,000, I would have to do the calculation to do the amount of days, but it's just a couple months. Just a couple months worth of production gets you those 2,000 vehicles. So if we can accelerate the plan by 6 months, we will build far more than those 2,000 vehicles, and everyone will get their vehicle more quickly. So that's kind of the calculus in this plan, is that how do we get everyone their vehicle more quickly? We think these first 2,000 slots are very valuable, so let's accelerate the plan. If we can accelerate the plan by even 2 months, everyone will get their vehicle more quickly.
Yeah, and launching at full rate is really what both Pablo and Sandy Monroe recommended. It's a disaster, they said, to kind of creep to production. You have to start out as close to max rate from the beginning to make sure everything works and to keep the mindset of the people, the system, that you're making 40 vehicles a day.
Yeah, if you have someone building 1 vehicle a day on the assembly line, you hire that person and build the equipment to build 1 a day, and then you tell them you got to build 40 a day, their head explodes. Like, this is not possible. I'm not going from 1 to 40 a day.
Right.
But hire the people, get the equipment, train the people to build 40 vehicles a day. And obviously there's some commissioning to be had and some kinks to work out, but plan for and capitalize for and hire for and train for building 40 vehicles a day.
That's right.
And then once you're good at building 40 vehicles a day, then just duplicate that with a second shift, so you can build 80 vehicles a day. And 80 vehicles a day gets you 20,000 vehicles a year out of this facility, which we think is just amazing progress in making transportation cleaner and greener for the planet.
Great. I guess last question. We've talked about institutional investors. Some questions about how can the people on this call help with attracting institutional investment?
If you have friends in the institutional world, or friends that are very wealthy, high net worth, or have a family office, we would love to talk with them. Share with them the story of solar mobility. Send them a link to one of our videos. That's how to really capture the imagination, seeing this thing in real life. This isn't a rendering. This isn't CAD. This isn't an idea. This isn't something that needs to be, proved out. This is real. We have real vehicles driving around powered by solar panels, and we have a real production intent design that's ready for manufacture. So please share the story, share a video link, and hopefully they will see. I think that's what we're hoping for, is the right person to just see this and say, solar mobility, that's the future. If I'm investing in anything, I'm investing in the future, and that's it. Mobility that is grid independent, mobility that is the most efficient thing on the road, something that has a lot of utility. We think this is where institutional and large investors should be looking. But last summer was really tumultuous for the markets, and we basically blew out all the last half of the year because people just weren't considering investments. But we've seen that really turn around kind of towards the end of the year and this year. So hopefully people are excited for opportunity, and hopefully people have a lot of gunpowder, in reserve in terms of investment dollars, and they're ready to make a move for 2023. And it's exciting and an optimistic time that we can all together make the world a better place.
Yeah, all it took was one tyrant to turn off oil and gas to make people really think about energy. And what we're doing is we're taking this creative energy from the sun and turning it into free mobility. Who wouldn't want that?
Cool. When does it start? Someone asked.
Now.
Starts right now.
You can go to
I'm gonna go
invest.
check the leaderboard.
You can go to invest.aptera.us and you can invest now. The leaderboard probably won't be updated till tomorrow. So, give it today to run through, and then we'll take the data tonight, and probably tomorrow have the leaderboard up. And we may only update the leaderboard once every 24 hours in the beginning, but we're working on an automated system. But please, if you can support us in this campaign, we're eternally grateful. You're helping solar mobility get to the masses, and it's been just an amazing journey so far. We can't thank you enough for your investment in our vision, and please support this campaign. Tell our story. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.